grown and sexy, but clean sometimes. That's what's up. We didn't say it was a family show, so there's that. Wait, are we with that? Well, this or that? Are we?
I don't know. We all over the place.
Had to come out of retirement. These knees they was snap, cracking, and popping, like a Rice Krispie. But we made it do what it do. But I did take a couple ibuprofens afterwards, though. All right.
Mud Talk with Big T, Shay, and Miss Amy.
Can you count, sucker? Get busy, y'all. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your homie Big T.
And I'm Shay Renee.
And I'm Miss Amy.
And you're listening to the only podcast that brings you latest in music, news, and fashion, and the only show that keeps your ears to the streets.
While you grind in the 419.
It is another edition of Mud Talk, a very special edition of Mud Talk. We are celebrating all things educators, and today is Educator Day, okay? And we are celebrating all the amazing educators that are out there in the world who are doing amazing and great things. Shout out myself because I'm a dope ass educator. Okay?
Sure is.
Oh,
okay.
Period. All right.
Am I allowed to be a dope ass educator too?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. And Miss Amy, you are a dope ass educator too.
I'm a dope ass educator too. I'm a coach.
Yes, you are. Yes.
Yes.
Look at you.
Yep.
Yeah. So we are some dope ass educators, right?
Educators aren't just teachers. You got all sorts of people that help kids, teach kids.
And we need
kids. We got a dope ass educator over here.
We definitely do. We have Mr. Ralph Green in the building. How you doing?
Officer
Ralph Green.
That's all right. I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you for stopping by and celebrating Educator Day with us. And we got a whole bunch of amazing educators things going on today. We got a dope little game that Miss Amy's going to play with us today. Are we keeping it clean with the game?
We're not doing We're not doing Never Have I Ever today.
All right.
We got Who Told It Best today.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty clean. We try to keep it.
It can
clean.
be.
Yeah.
I picked some clean topics.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Keeping it clean for Officer Green over here.
Yeah.
See, oh, look at that.
he made that face like, huh? Really?
Starting a rap career.
hey, you missed it. I thought I was a rapper when I was karaoke in Louisville this past weekend. So
if y'all don't know, but Miss Amy showed us a video of her rapping Salt and Pepper. So
little What a Man, did a little shoot.
I need the video.
Little Gold Digger.
I need the
Juicy. I was going.
She was glowing and flowing.
I was flowing.
She was definitely flowing. All right. Well, before we get started, I have to do what's called Big T with the T. And this is where I tell you all the things that's going on in the news, sports, and celebrity world and all that messiness that be going on with them. And
if you can chime in too.
Yes.
All right.
We got a lot of mess to discuss today.
We do.
It's a whole lot of mess going on. So let's talk about Mr. Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's cute.
He is very cute. He's had a baby. What did he do wrong?
Well, it's not a charge, so to speak, but the allegation that's against him isn't very cute. So,
okay.
Mr. Beckham has been named as a suspect in an assault investigation after a woman went to police claiming the NFL superstar put his hand around her neck in the LA hotspot, but he claims the allegations are false. Law enforcement told TMZ Sports the alleged incident went down several weeks back when a woman says that he went up to her and grabbed her throat with light pressure. However, a rep for Odell told us they weren't aware of any investigation and hadn't been contacted by the police. They also denied that Beckham did any wrong. TMZ reached out to John Terrazin, who's the owner of the LA hotspot, and told them we were contacted about an investigation and reviewed the videos. The claim is false. There is no evidence of this person even being in the area where she claims the incident occurred. The allegations come just days after Beckham was announced as the newest star wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, where he inked a 1-year deal up to $18 million.
Oh, she after that money.
So they're in the club and she wasn't there apparently.
Well, she was there, but the incident she claims that happened is not on video footage. But she says that he came up and applied some light pressure.
No, was this sexual? Because okay, groupie.
That's what I said. I'm like, there.
How much
You know how this was happening. What'd you say, Red?
How much pressure do they know that was applied?
Well,
Like,
she said it was light pressure.
She wanted it.
Yes.
Oh,
She-
come on. Listen, if you're gonna make an allegation, be like, it was a lot of pressure. It almost crushed
Yeah.
my windpipe.
She tried to kill me. Like, come on now.
Yes.
he was just trying to get on the dance floor. That's
If
all.
you
That's what I was
walked up to
thinking.
him and
He had
told
her
him-
against the they're on the
yeah.
dance floor, they're against the wall doing there. And
Yeah.
she's
She
like, "Oh, I
told
could
him
use
she
this."
liked that. Choke
Yeah.
me, spank me, you know.
That's
She
exactly
loved
what
it.
happened.
But hey, I mean, it is what it is. I don't, she just wants some money.
You think?
You know,
Okay.
she take my money.
You know what though? Like that's when you said that, it's because he just had gotten his deal at
Yes.
Baltimore. I'm not that Deshaun Watson is in this, and we're not going there. But that
Yes.
was like almost similar to like when he got, he
Mhm.
moved, and then also more people came out of the woodwork saying this. It's almost like people don't want them out of their city or something.
But they got to be smart too, though. I mean, they know people are after their money and after their fame, so they got to be smart and make wise decisions. I mean,
Yes.
Right.
you got to surround yourself with people who can keep you out of that trouble. That's what your boys or group around. That's their job.
Right.
Their job is to keep you out of situations like that. And
Yeah.
sometimes those decisions are tough because, especially inside the club. But if your boy, I'd rather be smart, pull you away, and have you mad at me
Mhm.
Right.
than to be in the courtroom losing money.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So they got to be smart.
I'm gonna start making him be like my PR rep in the club. You can
Oh,
just pull me out of situations.
I had a
I'ma just
nephew.
hire
Like
you for the
karaoke on
night.
stage in Louisville.
Yeah.
You could have
I
got
had a
me out of
nephew that
that.
Played at 12 years in the league, and anytime I went, I was literally his AKA. I don't care what you think, but you're not going to end up. I told him my job, my responsibility was keep you out of the media, keep you out of court.
Right.
I didn't care
So
if you
no
mad
light
at me.
pressure on girls' throats.
I was about to say, yeah, no light pressure.
No pressure on no
do,
throats.
do we know who your nephew is? Is this somebody that we know?
Probably so. If you get back that around a while, you probably do know him. So
No.
absolutely.
Oh, you can tell me later.
We're not going to name drop on the show.
We got a commercial coming up, right?
Right. Yeah, we'll
we
figure
do.
it out.
All right. In other news, Drake Bell's wife is throwing in the towel on their marriage.
Who?
Drake
Who's Drake
Bell.
Bell?
So, well, I'll tell you. Let me spill the tea first.
Shane and I both think we don't know who that is.
So, actor Drake Bell, who was the star of the children's show Drake and
Josh.
Yes, Drake and
Mhm.
Josh on Nickelodeon. Okay.
Okay.
So she filed for divorce from the actor. Her name is Janet Von Schmeling. And she booked it to court this week and filed for divorce after 4 years of marriage, according to new legal docs. Janet says they separated back in September, and she's going with the usual irreconcilable differences as the reason for the split. Drake and Janet have one child together, which their son's name is Wyatt Bell. And the documents say that Janet is seeking primary legal and physical custody of their kid. She wants Drake to be granted visitation rights. The divorce filing comes on the heels of Drake being reported missing by police in Florida earlier this month, with a family member calling cops and claiming Drake was threatening suicide in response to child custody issues with Janet. Drake was found safe and sound, and police say deputies took action to ensure Drake received a mental health evaluation.
I do remember that now that you said that. I just didn't know
Yes.
his last name was Bell.
Yes, Drake Bell.
I just knew Drake and Josh.
Drake and
He didn't
Josh.
have a last name.
Yes,
Drake.
well,
But not Drake like the rapper.
yes, Drake Bell, to clear that up.
Drake the actor.
Yes, so now you know, Miss Shay.
Gotcha.
You still don't know who it is, do you?
I still don't know the story, but I just registered the actor. Look, now repeat the
Yes.
story.
Right.
We don't
Yes.
have time for that. I'm gonna go back and listen,
Yes.
like y'all should.
I will inform you later who
All right.
Drake Bell is.
I'll show you a picture.
All right.
No, I got the visual.
You know
I
who
know
it is.
who
Okay.
he is.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
saying the story. I was too focused on trying to remember who he
Who
was.
was.
So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like,
Well, yes, they're gonna divorce. So
okay.
yes,
You
that's
always
it.
have the divorce news.
I know. Well, all these celebrities keep getting divorced. So hell, I don't know what to do. Yeah. All right. And in music news, Coi Leray and Lotto got some big beef going on.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Yes. So rapper Coi Leray, who you know sings Girls Are Players Too.
Yes,
So
that's
Coi Leray isn't cool with Lotto after she used her name in a punchline attack in what was supposed to be a Nicki Minaj diss, so she say. And Coi Leray defended her honor in an onslaught of tweets. On Friday, Lotto dropped her new track, Put It on the Floor, the same song she premiered at Coachella last weekend, where fans assumed she was dissing Nicki. Lotto put Coi in the crosshairs with the lyrics, smoking on that gas, blunt big as Coi Leray. Bitches like to run their mouths, but I'm the type to run the fade. A low blow, according to Coi, as she constantly is fending off body shamers online. So, Coi Leray responded in a series of tweets. The first tweet she said was, "Let's fight." The next one,
Sorry.
Violence.
She
is
really,
not
she really
the answer.
responded. It
she
wasn't
really responded. The next tweet she said, "Lotto bye. Here you go talking about my body. please do not come on here and talk about nobody's body. LOL, like seriously, out of all things, laughing my ass off. Your blunt my size, laughing my ass off. This shit is never ending. These bitches want to be like dudes so bad. Y'all want to have rap beef so bad. Anybody that talk about my body must want my body that bad. And if you don't like me, support me, or fuck with me, don't mention my name, period. Shit don't make sense. I don't know none of you bitches in real life. Stay in your lane and leave me out of the bullshit. I'll be minding my business and showing real love offline.
That's how you shut somebody up.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm confused.
really
They
didn't
called
feel
her
like it
big or
was-
small.
I
They said
didn't
the
feel
blunt
like it
was her
was
size.
body shaming. Yes.
No.
So we all know Corey LeRae is like
She's
a size
tiny.
2. Yes.
She's really
Like,
tiny.
she's got a sexy
Zero.
body
Like,
too. I don't know
it
what you're
is.
talking about.
It really is. So I don't think it was body shaming. If anything, I think it was a compliment. Like,
Or maybe they're calling her short.
that's
Were they
probably the
calling her
only time
short?
somebody is gonna call you fat, like a blunt. Like, I mean,
Oh, the
I know
fat
that-
blunt.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Well,
I
maybe
think
the
for,
length of the blunt. I don't know.
but see, I think for Coi Leray, it was a big deal because since she's coming to the scene, people have said about a lot of things about her body, about her being too skinny and looking like she has an eating disorder.
Oh,
Like
so
all
it's the
different type of things.
opposite.
So when Lotto made the statement about my blunt being as big as Coi Leray's body, she took that as like, you're trying to come after me. You're trying to
Okay.
talk shit about me being skinny. And so she's tired of it because since she coming to the scene, a lot of people have talked about her body, about her being
I get
skinny and
it.
flat chested and all that other stuff.
I get
I think
it.
she's got a good body.
Yes. So I mean, but she cleared the room, so there's that.
Yeah, she did.
So Lotto has not responded back yet, and that's probably because she's too busy touring on Coachella and smoking blunts as big as Coi Leray's body.
So how did that line go from a Nicki diss to a Coi Leray diss? I don't understand.
I don't know.
So maybe she dissed Nicki when she was at Coachella. and
No, I
then they
guess you got to
switched it?
listen to.
I
the
think you have to
song.
listen to the song.
Okay, I will.
Yeah,
I'll have
I
to.
didn't listen to it. I'm not a huge Lotto fan, so thank
What
you,
was that noise for,
Red.
Red? I wish you could have seen Red's face too. It was a very face of disgust.
Yeah.
Lotto is my girl, so I'm here with her.
Yeah,
All right, I'll
I
listen to
mean,
it on
I'm
my
not
own.
saying that she's a bad person. I'm just saying that I don't really listen to Lotto to know what the punchline was. So I have to check it out later. But just chill out with the beef, y'all. I'm tired of it.
Right.
Yeah,
So
rap
much
beef.
beefing.
Well, you know, Lotto and Nicki are beefing. So
Everybody's beefing.
yeah, that stems from what we talked about with Jamil about how Nicki's song got placed in the wrong category,
Yeah.
and her and Lotto were going back and forth. So
So they're
So-
they're still
they're still beefing. Yes, they're still beefing.
okay.
So, all right. Well, that was Big T with the tea. And if you know I got some tea, I'm going to spill it here first on Mother Talk. All right.
right.
So, it is Educators Week, and we are celebrating all things educators. And the one thing that I wanted to ask you guys was, who is an educator who made an impact on you?
You looking at me?
I was just asking. in
I mean,
general.
I have two. I have two. I can share. So, I was not the most well-behaved teenager.
Mhm.
And education and me becoming an educator was probably the last thing anybody would have thought. And I was just giggly, not talking, making bad choices, doing things that we would get our kids in big trouble for doing. And I had this one teacher. I remember she came up to me and I got in trouble for laughing really loud. And I was laughing so loud. I was talking while she was talking, and she looked at me and she's like, "Someday you would make a great teacher." And her name is Miss Schaller. And she actually is still teaching at the school I went to. She teaches at Anthony Wayne. And she not only said that to me, the next semester let me become a teacher's aide. So from the second semester of my 8th grade year all the way to my senior year, I was able to be a teacher's aide. By the time my senior year was, I was taking attendance, I was doing lessons. And she just really really definitely mentored me in high school and got me like, you can help impact other kids. You're going to be a great teacher. You understand kids. So she's the one that got me into it. And then when I went through my teaching program, for those who don't know, I taught high school. Yeah, right over there. It was a whole lot. Good. I taught high school for 9 years before I went into education and mental health. And my student teaching advisor was an amazing human. And I did my student teaching at Whitmer High School, and it was very different from a lot of the different areas that I had experienced. And she just taught me, she's like, it doesn't really matter what you do the first 2 weeks of school if you don't treat kids like they're humans. And that was probably one of the most impactful things that ever happened. And so now, no matter what I do, when I meet new kids, it's always about getting to know them first. If I have a class I'm teaching for the first 2 weeks, I don't care there's no content.
Right.
And I did that for all of my teaching. I do it now, working with kids with their mental health. And, because quite honestly, we all just want to be humans first. And that was one of the most powerful lessons. She also, while she worked there, her name was Miss Thomas. She also did the grads program, which was for pregnant and parenting teens to help them graduate. And I was a young parent. So she, when I started student teaching, I had just had my son. Like he was not even a year old. So she, I think, took a special, like, okay, we're going to help you get this teaching degree. And she really just like came alongside me, not only just as a mentor, taught me how to be a good teacher, but also just like, I was going through a lot. Like I was in college trying to graduate. I had a newborn baby, like, and she just understood that and made it really easy for me to like get my degree in teaching.
Right.
So those would probably be the two I think that shaped my career in education. But I mean, I work with amazing teachers. I've worked with so many amazing teachers over the years. I couldn't name them all. We'd be here all night.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah.
So I had two of them who made an impact on me. The first one is her name is Miss Johnson, Miss Michelle Johnson, to be honest, to be exact. She was my teacher in 5th grade. So she made an impact on me because she really was like very serious about education. And she was very much like on top of us, and we didn't understand why she wrote us so hard. And it was more so like, you guys are Black kids in the inner city. Like, I need you guys to go above and beyond. And she stayed on top of us. And I remember just her like constantly like even pointing to us, like she would do summer school, she would do tutoring after school. She was like the supervisor for like the crossing guards, like whatever way she could like pour into us, like she was just always there. And I have so much respect for her. And it's so crazy because her and my mom, now that I'm older, they go to the same hair
Much
salon.
older than 5th grade.
Yes, definitely. Much older now, but not that older, but I'm older
No,
now.
just older.
But her and my mom go to the same hair salon now. And so they always are like having conversations about me and whatnot. And so I'm actually friends with her on Facebook. So shout out to Miss Johnson if you're watching. And then the second one will have to be Miss Brown. So I graduated from Maumee High School. And Miss Brown was my freshman math teacher. And she just was the type that was like, she took no bullshit. Like I was probably scared of her in high school. I was like, wow, like I'm about to really pay attention to math class because
I needed a Miss Brown because I might know math.
she was serious. But so what really made me have so much respect for her is she taught freshman math, and then she didn't teach like sophomore or anything else like that. So freshman year, I was hanging out with this girl who I'm still friends with, but at the time I probably shouldn't have been friends with her. And she was like always in trouble. And I wasn't really the kid to get in trouble. I was kind of like just chill and minding my business. But then I would be like, let me dibble and dabble a little bit. And I find out
you were the pot stirrer, weren't you?
No, I was just dibble and dabble. And I'd be like,
okay.
I'm really not about that life. Like, this doesn't seem like I'm not the type to get in trouble. But I still hung out with her. And so Miss Brown would see me in class in the hallway. And she'd be like, I don't understand. Like, why are you hanging out with her? Like, stop hanging out with her. Now, mind you, this is freshman year. So then sophomore year comes, junior year comes, senior year comes, like she's still saying the same thing. I'm like, lady, like, can you please go away? Like, you're not even my teacher no more.
Right.
But in that moment, so senior year, the girl I was hanging out with, we both got into a lot of trouble, like legal trouble. Like, we had to go to juvenile court.
Do I
kind
know
of
this
trouble.
person?
No.
Oh, okay.
I
was wondering if it was already.
We can talk about this in the commercial break.
Okay.
No.
We're gonna find out who played in the league. We're gonna find out who this girl is.
So we got into a lot of legal trouble, and we had to go to juvenile court, and it was a whole bunch of stuff that happened. And I was just like, damn, the whole time she was right. So I actually went back to go visit one day. And I was like, Miss Brown, I was like, I appreciate you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really should listen to you. Like, I almost couldn't even walk across the stage of graduation because our court date was coming up. And I was like, fuck that shit. Like, I'm getting my diploma.
Right.
I don't have time for that. So, but Miss Brown, like, I have respect for that because she didn't have to do that. Like, freshman year, sometimes once you have a student, they move on, you kind of just like, okay, whatever. Like, she stayed on my ass even after the fact that I even had her.
Because she saw your potential.
She saw the potential. And she was just like, I don't know why you hang out with her. Like, she doesn't do this, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, quit talking to me. But once I got older and that whole thing happened, I was just like, damn, you were right. So shout out to Miss Brown. She actually, if I'm not mistaken, she is the dean of students now at my high school. And I said, that's the perfect role for you because listen, you deserve it. But it's so funny because when I was in high school, first of all, I always paid attention to class because I told you she was really strict. But then I was like, everybody else is paying attention. Like, I know we're supposed to, but everybody is really intense. Well, all the boys had a crush on her and she had like a nice butt. So yeah, it was like a running joke. They would be like, man, like, can I sign up for Miss Brown class again? Like, she doesn't even teach seniors. She teach freshmen. So like senior boys would like try to go and like sign up for a class. I'm just like, get your horny asses out of here. So
that story just took a whole different
did.
turn.
Different turn.
it must have made an impact on me too,
Right.
because I remember it.
Thank you, Miss Brown, for
So
having a
thank you,
nice
Miss
butt and
Brown.
educating math.
for having a nice butt and for also teaching me math and for keeping me out of trouble.
That's what it is about teachers. Sometimes I think we don't always think about some of our best teachers as the ones that are the hardest on us or the strictest on us. You know, I didn't shout him out, Mr. Durbin. I think he actually passed away recently, but he taught me how to write papers, and I was such a little shit in his class. He was so hard on me. But I'll tell you what, I walked out of there and walked into college, and my professor was like, how'd you learn how to write? And I was like, this guy I had for 2 years, and I was such a pain in his ass. I mean, I was doing anything you can imagine that kids could do to just annoy you.
Yeah.
And but he didn't give up. And sometimes those hard teachers that don't give up on you are the ones that are the biggest impact.
Yes, she's really dope. And then I found out later on that she was actually the volleyball coach at Scott, and I was just like, "What is this white lady doing all the way in the
We're
hood
not judging
teaching at
people by
Scott?"
their race.
I know.
Helping kids at sports.
But at that
Just
time,
saying.
though, it was like we were just like,
Uncommon.
yeah, uncommon.
It was,
But like
yeah.
you teach at Mommy, but then you driving all the way on
Collinwood.
to Collinwood,
2400.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Coach some volleyball.
yeah, and then we found out her husband.
Fearless.
Then we were like, "Oh, your husband is black." Now it makes a lot of sense.
Miss Brown had all sorts of layers to her.
She had layers. I'm like, you coaching at Scott, black husband, nice butt, girl. At this point, you just black. So there's that.
I want to meet her.
So it makes sense in hindsight.
Yes, it does now. Now that I graduated.
It's funny because most of the two teachers, well, I'm older, so unfortunately, all the teachers that had impact on me have all passed away. My fifth grade teacher at Lincoln Elementary,
I went to Lincoln Elementary.
Miss McDonald. She was a real thin, but she carried a mean paddle, and she was one of those that gonna push you to, no matter how hard or you thought it was. Miss McDonald was gonna give you every bit of confidence, but she stayed on you no matter what. And my biggest issue in school, even in today, I like to talk, and that has went with me from elementary, to junior high, to high school. Every time I got in trouble, I showed that today, it's because I like to talk.
Right.
And I would talk, of course, during exams and when I shouldn't be. So anytime I got in trouble, it was because this mouth of mine. Not I was sarcastic because one in the green household, they didn't play that, but I mean, talking chew gum. But Miss McDonald was one of my fifth grade teacher who really pushed us to just be the best student you can be. And she would tell you that no matter what you do in life, just give it your all, give it 100%. And I remember her to this day. So unfortunately, she passed away. And my math teacher in high school, Dr. Malone, I had him twice. I had him for pre-calculus my senior year, and I had him for trigonometry my sophomore year. And Dr. Malone was one of those that no matter when you was ready to give up, he was going to get every ounce of education out of you. I mean, this is the guy on the first day of school gave us a take-home exam.
Sure he did.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first day of school, he gave us a take-home exam. And we all at that point, the students were like, who does this on the first day?
Right.
But what he was doing, he laid down the law for that this ain't gonna be easy.
Right.
You know, so go home and do it. And whatever you got on it, which was great, we didn't even know what was on the exam. Because it was the first day of school. But he took that grade you got and he put it towards your final exam.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's a good idea.
And he put it towards your final exam. We had no idea what was on the exam, but Dr. Malone, and this is a guy who he caught the bus. He never had a license in his life. And he had a PhD. He rode the bus to Scott every single day.
Wow.
But Dr. Malone was one of those that said, you know what, he didn't need a license. He was a professor at the UT, but everything he did was public transportation. And him doing that, we're like, wow, if he could do that, why can't we achieve what he's trying to teach us to achieve? But those are two teachers who really impacted me. And unfortunately, all of my teachers have passed away. Fortunately, because me being an older guy, of course. But
You're only 40, right? wait, you gotta be older than me. You said 45.
I was gonna say 40 in my, not in my mind, because I still act like I'm 20.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that.
But those are teachers that, especially being a young African American, you saw that they cared about you. And they was like, look, give it everything you got and you can succeed. And it worked.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Michelle, you have any educators that impacted you?
Yes, I would say my 7th grade English teacher, Mr. Streeter over at Jones. Did you
have him too?
Yes, with the long hair. Like I remember one year I ran into him like as I'm grown on 4th of July in downtown on Summer Street, and he just out there kicking it with his beard in his head. I said, "Oh, Mr. Streeter, what's up?" He's like,
I love that.
But yeah, no, he opened up my passion for poetry. He always taught us to think outside the box
Right.
and take a different perspective on everything, not just take somebody's word for it. You know, there's always three sides to a story.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, their version, the perceived version, and the truth.
In the middle. That's right.
Yeah, so he always taught us to, you know, look behind it and trust our own information.
Mhm.
And then I would say it's a duo. I'm gonna say because after they found out I was a little gifted in junior high, I got thrown into honors.
Just a little
classes.
gifted.
Just a
Hey,
little.
shut up. Shut that out there.
She's
Miss
like,
Shane
just a
Renee
little
was gifted in school.
A little gifted.
Just
Well,
a
you
little
have to understand, like I transitioned from Springfield schools to
Right.
inner city schools,
Mhm.
and then I didn't want to be that student that I thought I knew everything, because you get bullied for stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Right.
So okay, they found out between junior high and high school, because I came into inner city schools in the 6th grade, and so I got thrown into honors classes. But I'm gonna say my tennis coach, Mr. West, Coach West over at Libby, and his wife, Mrs. Cook. She
Oh, they
was my
over-
honors
they over
science
Woodward,
teacher.
Wait, is that like the West that I know?
Libby High School?
Coach
yes.
West.
Coach West, like
Coach West now
Kevin's
is
dad?
he's subbing over at Wait.
Wait, is
He's a
that Kevin's
full-time
dad?
sub over at Wait right now.
Okay,
And
that is a man of many hats.
Yeah.
Tall guy, tall skin.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
yep. Yep.
Is that what it is? That him?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
No, you took my answer, but no.
Oh yeah, he's a man of many hats.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he was not only a teacher, a coach, a
Oh my
father,
God, yes.
a mentor. That man, I give my all-time respect to,
Mhm.
because he was one of my favorite all-time coaches, teachers,
Mhm.
whatever he had to be. He was
Genuine.
that.
He's
Yes.
very genuine.
And his wife, Miss Cook, which was my honor science teacher, which opened up my love for science. So
She's
that's
now the athletic director at Woodward.
is she?
Yes, she is.
Oh, wow.
See,
Look at this.
in
All
every tennis
circle
Small
match,
world, man.
she was right by his side. But my love for tennis, which is my favorite sport, by the way, comes from those two.
Absolutely.
Yes, stemming from the 8th grade. So
And I'm 95% sure that I'm like really good friends with his son.
okay,
Aaron or
No, the oldest, Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah.
So Kevin and my brother-in-law are best friends.
okay.
So small world.
Wow, look
Yes.
at this. The circle of life in here.
Yes.
But I may have to tell Kevin that he needs to tell his dad that we shouted him out.
oh yeah.
I'll have to let him know.
I
so he
ran
can
into
watch.
Coach West a couple months ago at the bowling alley, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my god, I'm
Yeah.
his biggest fan. If he doesn't know it.
All right, that's what's up. All right. Well, we got to go ahead and pay some bills like we always do. We want to say shout out to our sponsors. Of course, we want to say shout out to Village Academy. And we also want to say shout out to Many Faces Podcast Studio as well. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to pay some bills real quick. And when we come back, Miss Amy is going to give us some mental health matters tips. And then we're going to tap in with Officer Ralph Green when we come back. Keep it locked, y'all, right here on Mud Talk. Mud Talk is sponsored by Stormy the Social Assistant, Ramba Mamba Jamba Karaoke Party Bus Experience, Many Faces Podcast Studio, Her Academy of Beauty, Makeup Medic Mobile Makeup Artist, Uniquely, Swilt Products, Fame Studios, SB Geek, and Rita Armour with Key Realty. Go ahead, scan the code, and get tapped in with Mud Talk.
Sorry.
What's good, y'all? We are back here on Mud Talk. What the hell are y'all talking about?
I said your voice sounded so sexy in that.
Oh, thank you.
You're
I tried
welcome.
to.
I
you
know that voiceover, man.
Hopefully it gets my hose up. I don't know.
I hope so too. The wing mom in me says yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Look at you impacting me,
I got
educator,
you.
impacting my life. I
got you.
appreciate it. But yes, we'll say shout out to all of our amazing sponsors. Of course, we have to say shout out to Many Faces Podcast Studio, which is the home of the Mud Talk Show. And this ain't just no regular Mud Talk podcast, okay? This is a big time show. We are local, globally and nationally, right?
Mhm.
And remember, because of that, Many Faces Podcast Studio is giving away 10 free weeks of podcast studio time. You just got to have 10 weeks of topics together. Come on in, talk to Lexi, talk to myself, and we will get you scheduled.
There you go. You like to talk.
Yeah.
I think he's
That's
going
no
with 10
problem.
weeks.
Yes.
I've been tough for 7
Oh,
years.
and don't forget, we got to shout out to our pictures we had taken.
Yes, we have to say shout out to Mr. Adam Razi, right? That's that
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Mr. Adam Razi. He is the PR guy for Jamil Aussie,
Mhm.
who was just on the show a few weeks ago. And he came in and took some professional shots here in the studio of us, as well as the studio. So shout out to him. We greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you. So if you guys need any photography work, they can tap in with him, correct?
Mhm. Yep.
All right. So appreciate you, Mr. Adam Razi, for everything that you do. All right, Miss Amy. So what mental health matters tips do you have for us this week? Because it's been a while.
It has.
It's been a while.
It's been a while since I had to be serious.
Yes.
But I'm going to be serious today.
Aw.
You said, "Aw." So no, since it's Educator Week, Appreciation Week, and we are entering into that end of the year situation. If you are educator and you are with us, you know that spring. I think today it was spring in the middle school is a whole nother world, or any school that you're in. That yeah, you're laughing because he knows. That the mental health of our educators might not be the best. So the mental health matters today is for our educators out there. And that doesn't mean just teachers. It can be anybody working in education, working with kids, anywhere from babies all the way up to college, coaches, mentors, anybody that just is kind of feeling a little burnout. Here's how you can take care of your mental health in education. So the first one I have is to set boundaries and stick to them. So COVID kind of jacked up all of our boundaries. When we all went home, we all went to the learning from home and the teaching from home. All of a sudden, we had to be available 24/7. And we invited people in. I don't know what's happening right now, but I'm getting real distracted here.
Sorry, keep going.
I'm going to rewind that. We're just going to rewind
Thank
that. Are we good? Do we need to do
No, we
anything?
were good. Red made a little mistake. That I
Red, you're about to get the
so-
teacher treatment again. Just saying.
All right,
No.
quick rewind.
Rewind.
Thank you. All right.
So we're talking about setting boundaries and sticking to them. So when we were learning from home from COVID, it's been like 3 years ago. I think some of those habits crept back into the building with us. I know for me, one of the stresses that I had in COVID is I'm trying to teach classes online and meet with parents and meet with kids, and they're invited into my house and into my space. And we let students and parents into our personal home. And that's something that's just never been done before. And then when we kind of went into the school building, I think as a parent, sometimes we feel like we still have that, I want to get a hold of my kid's teacher right here, right now. And I think as teachers, we still have that kind of 24/7 mentality. And so setting boundaries and sticking to them means you have work hours for a reason. You have most people, and I'm not saying everybody, I know not all educators have contracts, but if you are lucky to have a contract, you have work hours, it is okay to come in at your work time. It is okay to leave when your work time is over. Now, if leaving at work time is going to cause you to feel more stress, maybe, yes, stay after a little bit. I was, saying today, I stayed after work really long today just because I knew it was going to help my mental health next week. But it's keep the boundaries. I have a boundary that I will not look at my email after my work hours are over. You do not have access to me on the weekends. You do not have access to me on my holiday breaks. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to be an out of touch person, but I have to keep those boundaries because I have kids, I have a family, I have other priorities that I have, and allowing people to have that kind of access to me makes me responsible for whatever I might come across. And working in mental health, that could be things like very serious situations. So when I work with people who are coming into education as teachers or people who are coming in as mental health professionals, I tell them, do not check your email on the weekends because you are responsible for whatever comes through. If you're a teacher and a kid emails you and says, I'm going to hurt somebody or I'm going to hurt myself, you now have to deal with that. And that's your weekend. That's your time. And part of that too is that I think COVID really did impact my family too. And I think it impacted our families because my kids were sometimes I feel like you care more about the students than me. And that's not the case. But we invited students into our house. Mm-hmm. And there was times that I had to shut my own personal children out who were doing their own school for 7 hours so I could do my job. So just set those boundaries. You have work hours for a reason. It's okay to keep them. Don't feel any guilt about that. We just I think we need to take those boundaries back from what COVID kind of disintegrated. Focus on what you can control, especially this time of year. I don't know what is going on, but it is sometimes there are days that I feel like it is out of control. Feel like that? Yes. So focus on what you can control. But you can control how you spend your free time. You can control, do you need a break from social media? I think sometimes, again, people having constant access to you all the time, then you go home and on social media, people have constant access, or just sometimes maybe the posts might be not positive ones, or you're getting sucked into social media drama and if you work anywhere near students, there's a lot of drama, and sometimes it can just
It's
be
always drama.
Other educators, any workplace, not just education, any workplace, there's drama. And sometimes you might just need to know yourself well enough to take a time out. For me, I stopped watching the news probably like 10 years ago when I started working in mental health. Because what I realized is I'm hearing things all day long that are really, really hard. I hear the worst of people's lives, not just kids, but their families. And I was coming home and watching the news, and I started finding myself like slipping into this giant depression, and just I couldn't handle it. So for me, I don't watch the news. If I have news on my social media, I might glance at it, but I will not read the articles. And that is my way that I protect my mental health, because I need to have strong mental health for what I do. So if you know yourself well enough to control what you can control.
Lately, I find it comforting with putting my phone on D&D.
Yes.
Especially at a certain time. It's like the rest of the world, this is, no longer a time for you to come in. I have to tend to my kids and my family, like you said.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
And I think with D&D, I didn't even realize this. With a lot of the D&Ds, you can actually, like, my son's in college, so obviously I want to make sure that he can get a hold of me if an emergency happens. You can put people that it'll let you, not just on like phone, but like it'll let apps pop through.
Yes.
So I have like my important people, they can pop through. That comes through.
Yeah.
But everybody else, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm a night owl, so I stay up till like 11 or 12. 10 o'clock, it goes on D&D.
Yeah,
You will
me
not get a
too.
hold of me after 10.
Mine is on D&D from 10 p.m. until 8 when I get to work.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yep.
because I'm sleep by 10 and I get to work at 8 o'clock. So between 10 and 8, you don't need to contact me. Those are my business hours.
And for me, like 10 o'clock when mine goes on D&D, like I do stay up later, but those 2 hours, those are mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yes.
else, other than like my kids, obviously, the
Yeah.
two that are home and my son in college. And sometimes I do get some messages and, I
Yeah.
need to answer. But other than that, it's on D&D, and I'm sorry.
And I love that tip that you put about the email stuff. So at my previous employer, we had emails going off crazy, like
Yeah.
all day, all night. And I remember like some of the coworkers that I were, really close with, they're like, "Did you see the email?" I'm like, "No."
Mm-mm.
I'm like, when I leave work at 3:30, I'm not Mr. Cleveland. I am Ty. I'm Big T. Like,
Correct.
that's it. And so I found maybe a few years ago, I took the school email off my phone.
Yeah.
Because before that, I used to be that person, like constantly checking it. And I took that shit off because I would find myself like on Sunday nights, like reading this email, and I have all this anxiety. Now I'm like trying to force myself to go to sleep. Now I'm taking 3 melatonins just to go sleep.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I cannot deal with this.
Well, and that was mine too. I had a crisis situation where I happened to check an email, and a student had emailed that they were wanting to harm themselves, and it was 11:30 at night. And I said, I can't let that go. I read it.
Yeah.
And I obviously want to make sure the student's safe. So then I
Yeah.
spent the next 4 hours of my day trying to get a hold of parents, trying to get a hold of police, trying to get a hold of. And at that point, I said, I'm not doing that. And I tell them that you will not, and parents, kids, everybody knows you will not get a hold of me, past work hours.
Right.
There, and then I give them resources. They can call this, and this, but this
Yeah.
is my time.
I would say one of the things about transitioning to the new school that I'm at
Yeah.
is that it's like trying to deprogram yourself, because I'm so used to, like, at my old place we had emails all day throughout the day, and now at my new school I'm just like, damn, where the emails at? I'm like, is everything okay? Are we good? Are we having school today?
Did I
But
do something wrong?
did I do something
Because
wrong?
people
Do I
are-
still work
people
here?
are
Like,
taking care
what's
of
going
their
on?
own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but my boss is real big on, like, she doesn't send emails out unless it's absolutely important. So like, this is testing week. Of course, we're gonna be getting emails
Yeah.
and stuff or whatever. But other than that, she's like, I will send it to the person that I need to send it to, not the whole entire school.
Correct.
So
Which makes that whole like don't reply all thing. That's probably
yes,
good.
yeah,
All right. So focus on your wellness. Number one, get moving. Like, it's important to stay. I'm not saying you got to go work out, but get moving, stay active, take walks. It is starting to get nice out. So, get outside if you can get some sunshine. I think we've talked about this in other mental health matters, but that sunshine gives you that vitamin D that helps with your mental health. But also, like, get the kids moving.
Mhm.
I was sitting in a room the other day with a group of kids, and I was like, I just want to go and step outside for a minute. And they're like, we can do that. And it just, everybody's mood was so much better once we just got a little bit of sunshine.
Yeah.
And so get moving, get the kids moving. You would be surprised at how much better a kid will learn or be willing to learn if they just get some time outside. I don't know why after 5th, 6th grade we say no more recess, or we little recess or little outside time, because quite honestly, I like to be outside.
Mhm.
But just get moving, get the kids moving. It'll help, I think, everybody's mental health, but just even outside of school. Another thing that I did is I was starting to find myself getting really stressed out. And I know, Ty, we've talked about this. I do self-care Sunday,
Mhm.
and that is my day. And it's not all day because I do have other things I have to do, but right about, evening until I don't go anywhere. I know I have gotten some slack from families for not going to like family stuff, but like about 5 o'clock, chores are done. I'm at home. I take a bath. I listen to a meditation. I write in a journal. I put lotion on. I get real comfortable. Maybe I watch trash TV. I don't know. Whatever is going to help me that day to get focused for the next day. Whether it's Sunday, whether it's Wednesday, whatever day it is, like find what your self-care is. I also scheduled myself some sort of self-care something, whether it's a massage, whether it's, nails, whether it's just giving myself some time with a friend to do every single week, every other week. And I can find myself when I start slacking on that, I'm getting grumpy with everybody. I'm grumpy at work. I'm grumpy with my friends. I'm grumpy with my family because I'm not taking care of me. And as educators, we're all pouring out to so many people all the time that we sometimes forget to refill our cup.
Absolutely.
And not in like the drinking kind of way.
Well, that's
Right.
Right. But that's, I didn't put that in there.
The kind of way. Yes.
Get some sleep. I know it's hard because
Yes.
listen, I got to be at work. What time I got to be at work? 7:10. Like I am not a morning person, but you have to get sleep and that's just in general, that's a mental health care for anybody. Get some sleep, however that looks for you, whatever you got to do to get to sleep and get to bed. Take your breaks. You get lunch breaks for a reason. Like, I don't know, does your school offer you a specific time that you get breaks for lunch break?
Yes. So I usually have my lunch break after middle school lunch. So I usually have that around like 12:30.
How much time do you get?
Usually around 30 to 45 minutes, but usually about 30.
And if you have the other thing that I choose to do, I know, I walk out, I leave the building. I don't honestly go anywhere. Sometimes I do. I will drive around in my car. Sometimes I will pull up to the park and I will just sit there. And the reason is because if I'm in the building, people will find me and they will literally bust into my office or they'll find, and I just need to have that lunch break time and take your personal time. If you get planning time, sometimes you're planning, use that time to plan.
Yes.
Don't use that time to, or go meet up with your teacher friends that you want to meet up with and get that support, but use that to help relieve any type of stress or time frame. Don't start trying to do everything that everybody else wants to do. Use that time for planning. That's why it's there.
Yes.
Adjust your expectations. It's the spring. Like nobody wants to learn, especially after testing. These kids are done. Like as soon as these testing weeks are over in about 2 weeks, these kids are done.
Yep.
Shutting down.
Oh yeah, they're done.
They
They're
shut
done.
down.
I don't
They're
want to
ready
be
for the
here.
school.
I've always said that once testing is done, school needs to be over. Like
Right.
why are we still here for another 3 to 4 weeks?
Because they said so. I don't know why.
Because kids know, like they're smart. They know, like, okay, once I take this test, like,
Or why don't we back testing up to the end of the year and then just be done?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that would just make too much sense.
Let's talk to Mike DeWine.
I got it.
Okay.
Make sure, and so it's okay to take time for brain breaks, not just for you, for the kids. Read the body language of your students. Read your own body language. If you're getting frustrated, you're picking fights you shouldn't with kids, just take a break.
Yes.
Let everybody take a break. Put your head down for 5 minutes. Play some silly video, whatever you need to do. Listen to some music. Put your your earbuds in and tell them to. They'll be happy, and just take a brain break and let them have that. I did a brain break with a class not long ago, and I let them do Legos. Like there was a Lego table, they got to build Legos. There was a color table, and there was like a sand table. And they walked in, they're like, "Is this our reward day? I thought our reward day was on Tuesday." I was like, "No, this is called a brain break." They're like, "No, but this is like a reward." I'm like, "No, this is like you've learned all day, and we're gonna sit and take a break."
Yeah.
And they didn't even understand, but they were so happy. You know what? The whole rest of the class, they actually worked and didn't give me any problems.
Yeah.
Because it's okay to do that. And also, make sure you remember the why for your lessons. Like ask yourself, why am I teaching this? That is probably the best advice anybody gave me. Like look at every lesson and say, why am I teaching this? And if you can't answer that for like a legit reason, state standard or like a solid lesson, why are you even teaching it?
Right.
I think sometimes we tend to do what we were taught to do and then it's like not relevant. And I think that can really help you with like all the extra stuff that you probably don't need to do. Avoid the toxicity. Did I say that right?
Toxicity.
I couldn't. Toxicity.
Toxicity.
Okay.
Toxicity.
However you say it, avoid all the toxic shit. Okay. I know some people say like toxic shit is where any negative people want to get around and bitch all the time. It's okay to vent.
Teachers, stay out of that
Yes,
staff
the
break
staff
room.
lounge. It's okay to vent.
Oh, gosh.
But being around negativity nonstop is only going to take you to a negative spot.
Absolutely.
And so stay out of that. Stay out of the
Yes.
lounge. Stay away from the negative. You know who those negative people are in your building. Get away from them because it's not
Yes.
going to help your mental health and it's not going to help your ability to finish that school year out.
Last year, 2 years ago, actually, when I was at my other school, we had this teacher, and he was there even last year too. Well, this year, he would on a lunch break in the staff lounge would talk shit about kids and this and that, and the other teacher would join in, and they said something about something transpired with the kids, and they said like they were bitching about the kids. I went off in that staff lounge, and I said, you know what? I said this would be the last time I eat in here. So
Right.
after that, I either would eat in my room or I would eat in my car. And so I really sat back and was like, there are really educators in schools who really, I feel like if you
I
are
don't, let's
if
take
you were
schools out of it because I
Okay,
don't want
yeah.
to make people give education.
Okay, yeah, no,
every
no.
workplace,
every
there are
workplace, negative people.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are sitting in a school or workplace, wherever you're doing, and you're just gonna bitch all day, like, why are you here?
Right.
Like,
And
protect
honestly,
your
some
own
of
mental
that
health
is that
and go
their
somewhere
mental
else.
health isn't great.
Yes.
You know, their mental health is rough.
Yes.
And so, but don't let somebody else's mental health impact your mental health in a negative just because you're around it.
Yeah. And I found myself like when I would just sit there and like try to ignore whatever, I would go back to my classroom like, damn, like, was that really even a break? Because I just sat here and listened to people.
Because you were
complain
busy
all
like
day.
working like in a different way.
Yes.
It's mentally
Right.
draining.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mentally
It
draining.
drains you mentally.
It does. So remember your purpose. I know there's a lot that comes down the line. If you're not in education, maybe you don't know. There's a lot of unfunded mandates. There's a lot of testing. There's a lot of paperwork and data entry and data collection. Some of that can just be really overwhelming. It's okay to put it aside for a little bit and just remember, like, why did I come into education? We all have a reason. You know, even more than talking about our favorite educator, I think all of us, because we all do some sort of education, can say, here's why I did it. You know, I do it because I want to be who I didn't have when I was young, and I want to help the naughty little children that are just like me. You know, and like, and so remember your why, and like, I think when we remember our why and remember how we were at that age,
yes,
it will really refocus you. Like if I'm having a moment with a kid, I just have to go back to my naughty little years. I'm like, no, I get it. I get why they're like this. But also, so this is one of my best tips that I give. And if you don't have one, make one. I don't know if you have one. It's called a warm fuzzy file. And it basically what it is anytime a kid draws you a picture, writes you a happy note, a thank you note, a teacher, a parent, a good email. I even have like silly things that kids have written down. I put it in a folder. And when I'm starting to feel like I'm done, like I'm over this, I don't want to do this anymore, I'm over the school year, I would just reach my hand in there, I'll pull something out and I just read it, whatever it is. It could be a positive email from a parent. I've done activities with kids where it's been like self-esteem building, and I just read it and remember like, okay, so I am making an impact. Because in education, sometimes you don't see the impact till, I always tell the kids when I see you when you're 30 and I'm in my wheelchair and you're in the grocery store, because it's always the grocery store. You know, I was like, you know, that's mine. I got to see a former student today that came into my work and took a selfie, and I have something I'm going to put on my wall. It's called the Wall of Fame. And that's all my former students for living their big kid lives. That's our reward. And so sometimes we have to remember our why and remember that like we are impacting kids.
Yes.
Because it's real easy to get caught up in that day to day. Like we're not making an impact. I'm just here yelling at people all day long and teaching things, and kids don't care. And so if you don't have a warm fuzzy file, it doesn't have to be anything special. It can be like it's like a vanilla folder or envelope. I just put it in.
Yeah. I have so you know, my son, when I adopted him, he was a student in my class, you know what I'm saying? So when I adopted my son, and I want to say he was 16 for that Father's Day, he wrote me a letter on Father's Day, like, thank you, Dad, for like stepping up and like being my dad. You know what I'm saying? And he wrote me that letter on Father's Day. He's 21 now, and I keep it in my drawer. And whenever I'm feeling like away, I'm like, let me look at this letter real quick. Yeah, it is. It's my one warm fuzzy letter that I got.
And that's what I actually do now whenever I have like interns or I have people that are like teaching or early teachers, because I always get them a warm fuzzy file. It's a binder with some street protectors. I'm like, make a warm fuzzy file. You will want it later. That's any profession.
You know, the crazy part, sometimes you don't realize the impact you make until you get that letter.
Yeah.
Or the 50 letters like this guy gets every time.
Right. And you don't realize. And it's funny because I'm not an emotional guy. I'm not the emotional guy. I'm not. But those letters that I receive, and when you start reading them and you don't realize the impact that you had, I mean, it actually brought me down. You know, realize
tears. We like crying.
Well, I didn't quite go to tears, but I was very close.
Okay.
But when you and especially from certain kids where you think all I do is yell and scream,
and they hate me.
Right. But then when they write and then put it on pen and paper, I'm like, wow, I really do believe I have an impact on the young men and young women. So
do you have a warm fuzzy file too?
Mine is the top drawer along with my goddaughter's snacks.
She wants those too. That's funny.
Easily accessible.
Right. So if you don't have a warm fuzzy file, find one. Drawer, an envelope, something, a binder, but keep it and read it when you're just not feeling great. And those are some of the great. And I even write down things. Like I saw a former student in a restaurant. She was waitressing, and she's like, I didn't remember she was my student. She was like, oh, I remember your class, and I have all the worksheets from your class, so that when it was a child development test. When I become a parent, sometimes I was just like, damn, like, I don't even remember her, but she remembers everything about my class, Once I learned her name, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you grew up and got bigger. I remembered, but make mental health a priority. You know that this was coming. Anybody that's heard these are going to hear that. Use your building resources. Like, I work in education and I'm a mental health provider in an educational setting. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that, like, I'm not just there for kids and families. I do a lot of staff counseling too for a lot of variety of reasons. See, as educators, we're expected to come in and check everything we have in our own life at the door. And then be the best person that we can be for 30 to 150 kids, depending upon what level you're in.
Right.
And some things are just really hard to check. And so if you have that in-building resource, whether it be a school counselor, whether it be a mental health provider within the building, use your resources, social worker, whatever it might be, because we're going to hold you the same state. Any state, if a staff comes in, I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear them out. I'm going to give them the counsel like I would a kid or a family, and just give you an open and free space to vent.
Right.
Or just cry. Or sometimes I'll say, hey, you can have my crying chair and I'm going to step out. Like, whatever it is that you need, allow that space and use your resources. I give a lot of referrals too. I have a lot of adults that'll come in and say, I think I need to see somebody outside of school. I want to go to some counseling or therapy. And I have no problem providing not only just referrals, but just being able to say, okay, like, what's your insurance, and trying to hook them up with some services, whether it be for counseling. Maybe there's other things going on in life, financial services, or whatever it is. There are resources in the buildings. Most buildings, most schools, I would say, at least have a school counselor. A lot of buildings will have a school counselor, so school social worker, some sort of mental health agency within the school building. And we are all there to provide resources to kids, families, and staff. So if you need it, use it. Whenever there's an emergency, it's all hands on deck. And whenever we have, unfortunately, the crises we have when it comes to schools, whether it be a death or whether it be a tragedy or something that's some sort of crisis, it's all hands on deck. And we're not just there for the kids, we're there for everybody.
Right.
So use it, take advantage of it, and go see a counselor if you need to. It's a great way to get things out, and because a lot of times we can't talk about what we do as educators and counselors and officers and everything else we have going on because we have to keep that privacy and confidentiality. But it's good to have that person that's a safe person to be able to vent to if you need to. So
that's what's up.
There you go. My mental health matters.
All right.
A little longer because I'm a little passionate.
Yes.
About this.
But we love all your good mental health tips that you give us all the time. And so we greatly appreciate you, Miss Amy. Thank you so much for that mental health matters moment. We appreciate you like we always do. We're going to go ahead and pay some bills real quick, but we want to say thank you to Village Academy for being the amazing sponsor of Many Faces Podcast Studio and the official home of Mud Talk, which you remember can listen to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora Radio, and Sirius XM satellite radio. So yeah, remember, we're not just local, we are global as well too.
And charting. Did you say charting?
Yes. Oh yeah.
You forgot the whole charting situation.
Damn. We are a charted podcast, okay?
On Apple
Podcasts. Don't get it twisted, okay? So we was just the last time we charted, we was number 112. Yeah, so we almost cracked that top 100, y'all.
So we need you to go to share, listen, and let us crack the 100.
Yes, crack that 100. All right. So we're about to go ahead and pay some bills, and when we come back, we have Mr. Officer Ralph Green in the bed. I keep calling him. I want to say Mr. Ralph Green.
Was there like a little wave?
Yes.
He's an officer. That's a whole nother.
I was calling him Mr. Ralph Green, and Amy checked me and was.
He's an officer.
Officer Ralph Green. I'm just because we say Mr. and Mrs. a lot in the show, so my bad.
And I'm fine with that. No, Big T, I'm fine with that.
See, boom. Thank you, Miss Amy.
Listen, I just had to give respect to his title once. You can call him whatever you want.
Well, that's just like our question that we had about Durant. He was like, "Can I call him Doc?" And I was just like, "No."
I was joking. I'm
know.
not going to do that.
Yes, no, Doc. We don't call him.
I'm going to ask him that question.
All right, y'all. We about to go ahead and pay some bills, and we'll be right back here on Mud Talk. All right, what's good, y'all? We want to say again, shout out to Village Academy and Many Faces Podcast Studio for being the official sponsors of the Mud Talk Show. And yeah, man. And as we said before, if you want to get those 10 free weeks of podcasting time in, make sure you tap in with Lexi Sims or myself. But remember, you have to have 10 weeks worth of topic. You can't just
Interesting topics.
interesting
too.
topics. You can't just be coming here and talking.
Yo, check me out, because I'm like I don't know, whatever people say.
Whatever the hell.
However, people come up to us when we're out and about and be like, yo, put me on that podcast.
Yeah, like people really come up to us.
And then you say, what are you going to talk about? And they're like, whatever.
You just asked.
I'm in these streets. I'm in these streets. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, don't come to me and say you're in these streets, because I will embarrass you like a teacher would. Just FYI.
Yeah, we have people who come up all the time and just like, can I be on your podcast? I'm like, what you gonna talk about? Remember I told one time we were out and about and somebody came up to me and was like, I want to be on your podcast. I'm like, what you want to talk about? And they were like, whatever you want to talk about. And I was like, it's a no.
That's a no for me, dog.
It's a no for me.
That's a Randy Jackson.
Yeah, the Randy
situation.
Jackson. It's a no for me, dog. You didn't already show me that you have nothing interesting to talk about. Right. So if you want to come in and get those 10 free weeks, please make sure your topics are interesting, and you got to be committed to 10 weeks. It can be every other week. It can be every week. You just have to make sure you have 10 weeks of content ready, and it's all free. And on top of that, we'll show you how to get your RSS feed so you can upload it onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all those stuff. So take advantage, y'all. This is free 99.
And if you only have like one, because you're only interesting for like one topic, hit us up. We have, like you said, a couple open spots for like our left, but you got to be real interesting.
Yeah, you got to be real interesting. And we typically don't just open up spots. We usually
it's got to be something you're doing. You got something going on for you.
Yes.
Highlighting that mud talk, the stuff you got for our community, making an impact out there.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Miss Shay, who do we have today?
All right. So as you guys know, we have special guest, Reserve Deputy Sheriff, Mr. Ralph Green. I told him I was putting that Mr. on it.
Yes, not officer. It's Mr.
Mr. Officer.
Mr. Officer.
Mr. Officer.
Okay.
Thanks for having me, Miss. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. So tell us a little about yourself, starting where you were born and raised.
Oh my God. How much time do you have, Miss?
Yeah.
I was born and raised here in Toledo, Ohio. Graduate of Jessup W. Scott High School, class of 1982.
Go Dogs.
I always like to tell him when he says that I was a year old when he graduated.
That's okay.
They weren't born yet.
That's okay. That's okay. That's
So
not
you
different.
know my dad, Sweeney?
David Sweeney?
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I'm going to sit over here and be quiet, y'all.
Right. So basically, after the show, there's a lot of catching up that needs to happen around here. I feel like.
Oh,
I see your dad at the gym every now and then over at Crunch Fitness.
Oh, God.
That means you gotta behave, Shay.
He's so dedicated. He leaves his phone at home and goes to the gym.
Oh,
Like,
he's
how
not
we supposed to get a hold of you?
Oh yeah, we have conversations. So, but not about you, Miss Shay. I've been knowing your dad for a long
I'm the
time.
good one.
But I'm born and raised here in Toledo, Ohio. Like I say, this is home for me. Graduate of Jessup W. Scott High School, class of 82. So, yeah, this is home for me.
Okay. All right. So, what is the main role of a school?
Well, before we do that, can we talk a little bit about what he's done, where he's been?
Yes.
He's here as a resource officer.
Okay. Yeah, we can go back.
Oh, wow.
You can tell us your bio.
All right. Well, graduate of Scott High School in 1982. I did my freshman year at the University of Toledo from 82 to 83. And I was one of them young men or young women say, well, you know what? College ain't for me. You know, I completed my freshman year. I said, that's not for me. So what I did, I signed up and went to the United States Marine Corps. So I was a Marine from 1983 to 87. I got out of the Marine Corps in 87, and I started working with the Sheriff's Office in 1988. I retired from the Sheriff's Office in 2014. Of course, you know, retirement doesn't mean fully retired, but I retired, and I've been resource officer. Started off over Washington Local and did some two public schools, and you know, so yeah, I'm a resource officer. That it's funny because for someone who couldn't stand kids, I find myself always involved with kids.
Wait, you can't stand kids?
Oh my God.
You're good with kids though.
Oh yeah. And of course, I coached high school baseball. I coached, started out at Bowser High School, coached over Scott High School for 7 years, then from Scott High School to Genoa, and of Genoa went out to Rossford. Yeah, so I wear a lot of different hats, but it's amazing how it all involves kids.
Right.
For someone who doesn't like kids.
Right.
Right.
Right. And now I'm surrounded by a bunch of yelling, hollering kids. But yeah, I've been at the high school and middle schools. But yes, so that's a quick synopsis.
Okay. So what is the main role of a school resource officer?
Me personally, the main resource, the main purpose of a resource is building relationships. I think a lot of times where people get confused is because we wear a uniform, they think we're there as the police, but you're not. You're there to build relationships with those young men and young women. You're not there. They know you're in charge because you have the uniform on, but you have to make yourself available to those kids. Like Amy said, communicate. You can solve a lot of problems just by building a relationship with young men and young women.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found out in my experience is the first thing you must get from those kids is trust.
Yes.
Mhm.
The minute you get trust with young men and young women, you got them because they will come to you with every issue, every situation. They will help put out a lot of fires
Mm-hmm.
before those fires get burning, blazing. But you definitely have to build trust in those kids. And for me, communicating. I mean, because so many young men and young women are going through so much that we don't know. But as a resource officer, I don't pry into anyone's business because it's not my
You
responsibility.
don't have to. They just come to you.
But they only come when they trust.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't come to everyone about their issues.
Right.
But once they build that trust, they'll come. Hey, can I talk to you, Officer Green? Can I speak with you? And they will share whatever's going on. And it's amazing that as a resource officer, you're also a counselor.
Mhm.
You're a father figure. You're a parent. And that's the biggest role to me as a resource officer is building that relationship with those young men and young women. And what you don't want to do is break that trust.
Right.
Because the minute you break it, they would never come to you again.
Mm-hmm.
They look at you completely different.
So do you find that kids have a hard time trusting because you are an officer and you are in uniform or anything like that?
Early on, yes.
Okay.
Because they've got to, it's almost like they got to feel you out.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They got to feel you out because they're like, okay, why is he here? When I started this position, they're like, why are you here? What's going on? Somebody's in trouble. But you kind of they got to feel you out to see if you're actually there for them
Mm-hmm.
or are you there in that police role?
Right.
Because we know today there's not a lot of trust with law enforcement officers.
Mm-hmm.
But once they see that I'm really there for them, and I let them know that specifically, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm here for your safety. I'm here for your protection. I'm here to make sure the staff, but I'm here for you. I'm not here to make arrests. That's not what our job is. And once they see that, I mean, I'm probably the biggest kid in the building.
I would not disagree.
I am the biggest
not
kid
disagree.
in that, and they would tell you, but
Yeah.
they see you for a different side of you.
Yeah.
They see you genuine, as they would say.
Yeah.
When they see you legit, they will come to you. But you're right. Early on, they're like, they kind of give you that look, or they're afraid to dap you up. They're afraid. But now all of a sudden I mean, the hugs, the daps, constantly.
The
every
letters.
day. The letters,
support.
honestly, and it's every day now because they like, okay, this guy is really here for us.
And that's as a counselor, that's one of my favorite things is like having our resource officers in there with me and like letting them say, hey, here's the deal. We have this person. And I know you may not have great experience with police, but just hear me out because we have a different relationship with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I pull in a resource officer and they sit there with me and we have a conversation, may it be about behavior, maybe it's about mental health, maybe it's just to like be silly, joke around.
Absolutely.
Then it's like you build this trust between the two. And then it's a very huge and valuable resource to be able to help with mental health and behavior and everything else that happens.
Okay.
Huge resource.
All right, next question.
You good?
I was gonna say, like, what was
She was really thinking about
She was
that.
thinking, like, what question can I ask them next?
So, talk about your experience as a Black police officer. What are some of the challenges you face?
Wow, good question.
That's why it took you so long, huh? Okay.
I can honestly say in my 30 whatever years, I didn't have that struggle. And I think it's because of my military background, where in the military, you're around people that don't look like you. You're around people that don't talk like you. You're meeting people from all other cities and states.
Mm-hmm.
So you automatically had to adapt. You had to adapt to that. So for me, the adaptation was pretty easy. So as a Black officer, I haven't had many issues because I can relate no matter what's your race, your color, and even from the Caucasian to the African Americans, I'm the same way. And I'm a firm believer that if you treat everyone the same, despite their color, despite their origin, you won't have the issues. And there have been so many times in my career where I see other officers struggle and they would be like, where's Officer Green at? I want to talk to Officer Green. And now I'm talking adults.
Yeah.
You know, when I was full-time sheriff's office and we're talking Caucasian, where's Officer Green at? I want to talk to him because he know how to talk to me.
Right.
Right.
And so I can honestly say based on being a Black officer, I haven't had that. I've been very fortunate. And I think a lot of that is based on my communicating with people. Because I'm the same way. One thing about me, I'm the same way whether you see me in uniform, out of uniform, in the store. I'm the same goofy old guy, no matter where I'm at. And I think that helps tremendously because even to this day, I run into people in the stores who were incarcerated years ago. And when they walk up to me and say, you haven't changed, you're the same guy. You was that guy that always respected us. And I'm not in uniform. I said, you know what? I must have done something right.
Yeah.
And that's why I had very little few conflicts in my career. Because I truly believe when you treat people and talk to them like they are human beings, talk to them like you want to be talked to, treat them like you want to be treated, you don't have those issues.
Right.
And I can say, I haven't. I've been very fortunate.
And I feel like since post-COVID, we've lost that art of learning how to talk to people.
Right.
Like people talk to each other so crazy nowadays. Like no wonder why you have so much conflict in your life. You don't know how to talk to people.
Absolutely. But that's a true statement.
Yes.
True.
And I must say that quality is what makes some of the best educators.
Absolutely.
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 Yes.
Yes, thank
Absolutely.
It's that treating kids like they're human, knowing
Mhm.
that like it doesn't matter. Like I
Right.
care about you because you are
Yeah.
you. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's funny.
We
you said that
used to be those kids. We wanted our voices to be heard.
Yep.
And it's
So
funny
definitely.
because when I first took the coaching job out at Genoa, I was the only thing of any color at Genoa.
Mm.
So it took some adjusting for those kids because they had never had an African American coach.
Yeah.
They have never had to deal and relate to African American. And it took some adjusting for them to adjust to me. You know, it wasn't a big adjustment for me to them because I dealt with young men and young women of different races, but it was a challenge to them. And once they, realized, okay, first that trust word, this guy know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Because just because you're out here don't mean you could coach us. They want to know your experience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where did you coach at before?
Mhm.
But once that happened, I mean, even I have kids to this day when I go and referee out there. I didn't mix. I've been refereeing high school basketball for 31 years, but that's a whole nother.
And umpiring.
And I'm sorry. About Jack, I wear a bunch of hats, but none of them fit. And so, but it took that adjustment, but they realized once again, I'm the same guy no matter what.
Yeah. I had when I was at my other school, I had a teacher who was like, Mr. Cleveland, you never yell and the kids listen to you and all this other stuff. And I was like, well, first of all, I'm not yelling all day from 8 o'clock
Right.
until 3. That's stressful. So who's doing that?
Right.
But second of all, I'm like you said, it's a trust thing. And once they trust you, like I don't even have to say anything to my kids. I can just give you a look.
You can look at them from across the hall and they're
they'll be
looking at you like,
they'll be like, oh, okay, shit, let me stop. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm like, the reason why you're yelling is because number one, they don't trust you. And when they don't trust you, they don't respect you.
Right.
So you 0 for 2 for right now. And it was at this time, it was January. Girl, count the school year over at this point.
right. There's no raising of the voices.
After Christmas break, if you don't got it, you just ain't got it.
One thing I didn't say that I should have been mental health. Pick your battles,
Yes.
especially right now. Just pick your battles.
Pick
you
your
don't gotta yell
battles.
over everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the same way in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When you're dealing with someone with mental health issues,
Yeah.
I mean, pick the battle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because sometimes you have to come down to their level.
Mhm.
Actually, a lot of times, and that's what people don't understand. If someone is having mental illness issues,
Mhm.
you don't address them the same way as someone that's not.
Right.
You don't because there's a reason that they're acting like they're acting.
Mhm.
Come to their level.
Yep.
Come on down to their level, and I'm telling you, you'll get a lot more accomplished that way.
And whether they have mental health or not, just in general, like if,
Yes.
however people are, just
Took
you,
the words right
meet
out of my
them- yeah,
mouth.
meet
I
them
think
at
that's
their
great
Come-
advice.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Come out, meet them where they're at,
Yep.
Yes.
and you can get so much.
Because you
accomplished.
never know what somebody's going through.
Absolutely.
right, absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Considering the rise in youth deaths lately, what plan of action would you take as an officer to help our youth?
I get a lot of pushback on this answer because I've been asked this a lot. And I am a firm believer in it starts in the household. I hear so many times everyone thinks, well, let's build a basketball court. That's not the problem. Because if you build basketball courts or athletic events, the same kids with those problems going to go to those same buildings,
Yep.
Yes.
and the
Yes.
same problem is going to follow them.
Right.
Yes.
We need to somehow, some way, get into our young men and young women's lives, because that's where it all starts at. And I'm a firm believer in that. But if you can get in their household, that's where it starts. It's not the extracurricular activities.
Yes.
It's not that. That's just extracurricular. That's not the problem. The problem is we got to somehow, some way, get the parents involved.
Yes.
Because I truly believe if we can get the parents involved and active in their lives, it could change a lot.
Mhm.
Because I think a lot of it now, we've all been around long enough that, I mean, kids aren't born that way.
Right.
Kids aren't born to misbehave.
Right.
It's what they're being taught. And so many times the parents, I'm a firm believer in if we can fix the parental problems, we can eliminate a lot of problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that frustrates me, kind of like what you said, I know we were talking about the video that came out of the teacher and the student getting into the cell phone,
Yeah.
and one of the things that I saw on Facebook constantly, and I no shade to somebody who said it, but I hate this. They're always like, we need more programs. We need more programs. We need more programs. We can have 15,000 programs, but that's
Right.
not going to change the fact of what's going on. So for instance, if you have a student who may be going to, the Boys and Girls Club program or whatever, they're only there for 3 hours.
So what's happening at 7 o'clock?
So what's happening at 7
Right.
o'clock? So if you go to a program from 4 until 7, by the time they get home at 7:30, everything that we poured into them is undone.
Gone.
It's gone.
And then the frustrating thing is then we turn around when things happen and we blame the school. We
Yes.
blame the after school program. We blame the coach. We blame everything.
Mhm.
It's everybody else but what's happening in our house.
Yes.
I don't know who gives you pushback on that, but that's solid
Yes.
advice. Now, how you do that, I think a lot of that comes with the same thing you just said about how you do your job. You build trust with
Absolutely.
parents. You build
Absolutely.
trust with families.
Yes.
You build trust in the community. And honestly, with kids, what I find to be most effective is you build trust and you make kids want to be the best them that they can be for you. Because
Absolutely.
if they don't know it, you're not always going to impact the house.
Absolutely.
But if you are a
Absolutely.
positive adult around youth, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do, be that positive adult and make those kids want to trust you and
Yes.
behave for you
Yes.
and make changes for you and explain to them. Because what I think is happening is not just happening in the house, but we're seeing a lot of things happening in neighborhoods
Correct.
where it's not a lot of the kids are being influenced. They're seeing things happening on TV, on social media, but
Mhm.
mostly in our neighborhoods where we're now emulating that, and that's our
Yes.
influence.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And where that's not going to change until the people in the community say, I'm going to pour into the lives in a positive way, and I'm not going to stand up for the adults in the communities that are tolerating what's
Yeah.
happening.
Absolutely.
Well, and the thing is too is that with those programs, the kids that we need to reach aren't the ones that's coming to the program.
Absolutely.
So we're getting, I don't want to say the good kids, but we're getting the ones who don't need programming. They just like
That's-
programming.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out how do we reach the kids that need programming, and
Yeah.
that has to be, like you said, going into the parents' household and saying like, hey, I know that your child is doing X, Y, and Z. Here's these programs that can help them,
Yeah.
but also our parents need help as well too. They have
Absolutely.
to be educated.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of child-based programs, but not enough
Parenting.
parent-based programs
That's
where they can go like parent university or even
Yeah.
just workshops.
But
or
even
whatever
a
the case
step
may be.
before that, I think what we're seeing is we're seeing generational things.
Yes.
Yes.
Like I know when I'm working with kids and they're in having situations like you had said, when we have a lot of violence and crime happening, I'm hearing kids tell me, well, my dad doesn't care, my mom doesn't care, my mom's doing
Yes.
it too.
Yes.
And so it's you almost have to meet them where they're at and start building that situation before you can get them to the parent university.
Absolutely.
Because it boils down to what kind of morals are being instilled
And
in them.
values and,
And
yeah.
are we're taught to respect our elders, and some households don't value that. They value, oh, my kid's allowed to have an opinion whether they respect you or not. That's not okay.
Yeah.
correct.
And there's a way to
Absolutely.
have an opinion and still be respectful.
Exactly.
And those are the tools that we are hopefully going to be instilling, but you got to reach the parents where they're at,
Right.
I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
like you ever notice when they have all these little meetings? I mean, you see 20 parents,
Yes.
10
And they're not
parents.
ever the parents that need to be there.
Right.
Yep.
They're never there. I mean,
Right.
you have it. I mean, who are you really reaching out to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you being effective?
Yeah.
You're talking to the parents that shouldn't be there, and there's only 10 to 15 of them.
Yeah.
And not even school based, but honestly, as an educator, one of my very favorite things is I love doing home visits if I'm welcome in the home.
hmm
You can learn so much, but it also can allow them to see you in a different light. And I
Right.
always tell them, like, don't clean. I remember I had one parent, she's like, oh, I'm going to clean because I know your house is clean. It was during COVID. I turned the camera around and she's like, oh, Lord, okay, you can come. Because, it's just, I'm like, we're human. And I think not saying that that's a way, but like you said, get into the community.
Yeah,
you have to get into the community.
When I was bartending, one of the things I used to do, I would talk to parents about
Yeah.
like kids. Because I'm like, I'm meeting you where you at, and you probably are one of the parents who I need to have this conversation with.
Yeah.
And so I would literally like while bartending, I would tell them like, hey, I'm a teacher, whatever. They like, you are, and that would just generate the conversation.
You got all the education.
I got all the
Hey,
education.
Oh, you're a counselor? Let me talk to you for a minute.
While I
Yep.
make your Long Island.
Yes. Or just yes.
Yes.
But that's how you meet people where they are. And
Absolutely.
that's important.
All right.
All right. So just 2 quick questions.
Oh, you're fine.
And what is the most rewarding part of working as a law enforcement officer in education?
Seeing kids succeed, watching the kids succeed is huge. Especially from beginning of the school year. We all know beginning of school year, everybody is so full of energy, and as my mom would say, piss and vinegar. And you see them where they're at, and you see the progression that they make during the school year. Not the ones who got the 4.0 GPAs, but the ones who struggle early, just adapting from 6 to 7, 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8. That adaptation, and then you see them struggle early, but as the school year goes along, I mean, they succeed, and that makes me proud, because I that shows that not just from my position, but the educators are making an impact on those kids.
Right.
It's just not for me, but yeah, everyone in that building who really cares. And a lot of times kids think we don't care, but we do.
Right.
Just because I yell and scream at you don't mean I don't care. I only yell and scream when you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And that's why it's funny, I always turn that on the kids. They're like, why did you yell at me? What did you do?
Yeah.
See, I put it back on them. Well, I was doing ABC.
That's why I yelled at you.
Exactly.
I don't yell just to yell. I mean, I don't.
And you know what? That's actually really, speaking of parent, that's great parenting advice too. Honestly.
Yes.
Teaching them to learn from their own mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Turn it back on.
Yeah.
Right.
It works.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay. Would you or have you encouraged other young men to step up and follow in your footsteps?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I always tell them, this isn't what I wanted to do. You know how some kids growing up, what you want to be? Police officer, fire? No. It was the job. But it was, after 26 years, now 30 years, it was a rewarding job. So I tell the kids, this is not what I wanted to do. It's not the career that I wanted to be in. It just happened to come my way. But I would definitely encourage them, because there's so much more to law enforcement that people don't see, that the public don't see. We only hear and read about the negativity.
Right.
But they don't read and hear about all the positiveness. I mean, there are a bunch of, especially African-American police officers, law enforcement officers, that have a huge impact in our community, but we never hear about it.
Right.
We never hear about it. But I would definitely advise them. It's a great career, but you got to have a passion for it too.
Right.
Because you're going to deal, is no different than being a counselor, social worker. You're dealing with several different individuals. It has several different personalities, several different issues.
In their worst days.
And the thing about law enforcement, 99% of the time is when they're at their lowest point.
Lowest.
Right.
Like rock bottom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that. So you got to have that passion to be able to socialize and deal with them. And like we said earlier, meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
Right.
It's okay. It's not an embarrassment to go meet them where they're at, because everyone's not where you're at or where you think you should be, where you think you're at in law enforcement.
Yeah.
And on the other side, I mean, there are some law enforcement officers who need some, they need to be checked too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and tell everyone that every law enforcement officer, no. There's some law enforcement officers who need some attitude adjustments, and they have to realize why they're in that career. You're not in that career, to be disrespectful because you got the uniform on, or, treat people differently because you got the uniform on, because people don't forget. They don't forget. And so, yeah, I would definitely recommend young men, especially, get involved in it, because you'd be amazed. There's so much that goes on with it. People don't see because it's not publicized, but there's a lot of positive things that come out of being a law enforcement officer.
Now, how do we as a culture and society change the perspective of an officer? So, for example, how our kids view police officers, how do we as a society change that perspective for them?
Put them back in the neighborhoods.
Okay.
I know when we all grew up, everybody knew the police officer.
Right.
You knew, the old guy. I'm giving a shout out the old Mel Woods and the Lon Wooders, guys who, when you see them driving down the street, the Keith Millers, you knew them in the neighborhood.
Right.
Put them in the neighborhood. put them in the neighborhood that they can adapt.
Mhm.
Because not every officer, because of their color or nationality or their background, want to be inside the inner city.
Right.
You know, but I truly believe if you put them in there, I mean, walk the beat. Guys
Mhm.
used to walk the streets.
Mhm.
You know, introduce yourselves. Don't go in there like Billy, excuse my name, Billy Badass.
Mhm.
Because when you go in the neighborhood as Billy Badass, you're not gonna get any respect.
Right.
By the way, we like foul language on Mud Talk, just so you know.
Okay, Billy Badass.
Say it like you own it.
Yes.
Say like you mean it.
We love it.
But I'm a true believer in put them in neighborhoods because I think so many young officers now they're not comfortable going into the neighborhood.
Mhm.
You know, but I'm a firm believer in put them in there and let them get to know the community.
Yes.
Because when you get to know the community, you're gonna get the respect of the community. I always say I've been blessed. I could go anywhere. You could put me in any neighborhood. Yeah, I don't care what color you are. I'm gonna be the same person. I'm gonna talk to you like I've been knowing you for years.
Mhm.
My wife tells me all the time, is there anywhere you can go and not know somebody? I mean, we overseas on vacations. She's like, how the hell do you just talk to anybody?
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer that if the police officers would put them in the neighborhoods, you know, get out those cars, walk the neighborhood,
Yeah.
go introduce yourself to the neighbors, talk to the neighbors. I think that would
And
solve
not in a way
lot.
that you're trying to like
No.
be the FBI. You're trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
you're
No,
there to
just
be
really
there.
trying to
Like,
get to know them.
hey, this is my neighborhood. I'm
Build
here. Like, let's
rapport,
be,
yes.
you know.
How about
area patrol?
Yeah.
Yes.
how about just be yourself?
Yeah.
Yes.
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Don't try to be something you're not.
Mhm.
When you come into, if you're a white officer, you would come with a approach you with your black guy. You don't have to talk like you're one of them.
Right.
No.
Be who you are, and if you be
Yeah.
who you are, I mean, I truly believe that will solve a lot of our issues. It'll
Mhm.
help out tremendously.
Right.
So yeah,
Well, and I think too with the school resource officer, we're starting that.
Mhm.
Like schools are putting resource officers in every school. So you're starting it as little kids. Like they're
Absolutely.
seeing officers in the
Absolutely.
schools, elementary, middle school, high school. And I feel like you're right. That should continue into the neighborhood. So
Absolutely.
like they're
Yes.
seeing, because it's a very special personality to be in a school. Like they're very like school officers, they have to be certain personalities. You got to be able to handle kids, and
absolutely.
you're not going to be, you know, you're diffusing situations more than anything.
Correct.
Like you're the
Absolutely.
last thing you're ever going to do is want to
Last thing you want to do is arrest a kid.
arrest a kid, put a kid in
Right.
handcuffs or
Right.
anything like
You
that.
don't want to do that. No. But
And that's what you talk like that's the last thing, you know, that anybody ever wants to do. But starting in schools and then moving to the community is
I
huge.
totally
with
agree.
you.
I think that would help solve a lot of our issues.
Absolutely.
So everyone has to get on board.
So, quick question. So, as an officer, have you ever seen or encountered another officer, you know what I'm saying, being like disruptive?
Yes.
Can I repeat? I don't know if they can hear you in the mic. So have you ever seen or encountered another officer being disruptive is what Red asked.
Absolutely. Yes. And I wish these officers would eliminate this mindset. I'm not telling. I don't like that. For the
Mhm.
simple fact, if you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah.
If you're wrong, you're wrong. I mean, and yes, I have in my 33 years, yes, and there's been times where I have interceded. I've interceded for the simple fact, you know what? There's still
You had to stop it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's still a human being. Remember that. These are still human beings that we're dealing with. And I have no problem with telling you if you're wrong. I mean, I don't care. If you don't like me, so what? But we swore to uphold the Constitution. You know, and you do not have to treat all these individuals, you know, any individuals, no worse than you would treat your own child or your own parent or your own relative. So yes, I have definitely seen that and been involved in that. Yes.
That's good. Good advice.
Now, we were talking about earlier about the video that came out of the student and the teacher getting into a little tussle. Well, I won't call it a little tussle. It was kind of
It was
major.
a tussle.
Yes,
Big
it was a tussle.
Did you see that video?
No, but I've heard about it.
Yes. So in the video, I think the teacher took the cell phone.
I didn't watch the video.
Issue.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
she.
didn't see the video.
Yeah. So
either.
in the video, the teacher took the cell phone, and the student got up and went behind the teacher's desk
That's all. Yeah.
and basically was like, "Give me back my cell phone" and all this other stuff. And it got to where they were getting physical because that particular student was aggressive towards that substitute teacher, and they got into a huge scuffle about it. In that situation, you know, how would you recommend a teacher to de-escalate that situation?
It's twofold. If the student is being aggressive towards the teacher physically, teacher has a right to defend himself.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Every individual has a right to defend themselves. And I've seen young men and young women today, they seem to be more aggressive
Mhm.
than the students. but the teacher has the right to defend herself. A lot of times they would expect you to walk away, but if you put in a corner, if you back anybody into a corner, what are they going to do?
Come out swinging.
Yes.
They got to
It's
get
your
to
fight or
defend
flight
themselves.
response kicks in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if that teacher had no other escape route,
Mhm.
and the student is swinging, and you got to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a huge debate about it online. There were some people saying like she's a teacher, she's not supposed to do this and do that, but other people were like, look, like at the end of the day, she's still an adult, and
Right.
that student got physical.
Right.
So
And these kids with their phones. Here, I'm going to give you guys some parenting advice. You own that phone.
yes.
I need you to hear that. You own your child's phone.
Yeah, but they have the right to defend themselves.
right.
Whether you're a student or a teacher, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
If a student
Right.
is attacking a teacher, nowhere does it say you can't defend yourself.
And we always talk about self-defense is different than
Absolutely.
offense. Self-defense is getting me off you, get away from me.
Yeah.
Offense, now you turn around and start wailing on a kid and holding them down.
Correct.
Now you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
It's funny because in law enforcement, we were taught anytime we're dealing with problems, you use the minimum force necessary.
Right.
And what
Perfect.
people don't understand about that is minimum means whatever it takes.
Mhm.
So cameras and TV make it seem like it's more than what it is.
Right.
But if that means I got to be stronger than I normally am,
Right.
I got to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the minimum force that I needed to
Yes.
protect
To
myself.
keep yourself safe and everybody else safe too.
Absolutely.
Because that teacher also has an entire other classroom of kids
Right.
to keep
That
safe.
go forward.
With a kid who's
Absolutely.
because like I said, these kids are out of you take a cell phone away from a kid. I mean, you're a parent. I don't know if you ever had my kids, they go through all these stages of upset and yelling and screaming. Kids at work, I'm like, put your cell. Oh, I can't. I have to promise them I'm gonna hold my, like they just can't get rid of their phones. It's
Yeah.
just this thing. And it creates very aggressive children sometimes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the two things with it, number one, when you are registering your child for a school and they lay out the expectations and the rules, if you don't like the rules and expectations at the school, don't send your
Don't
child to that
throw them
school.
somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So if your child is like, I need my phone, then this probably is not the school for you. I know, in previous school I worked at, I had parents who were very upset about, their kids being on the dress code and being sent home. And I don't understand why they have to wear uniforms. Ma'am, when you came into the school and you registered and they ran down the list of expectations, as soon as you heard uniforms, you should have been like, yeah, this is not the school for my
Absolutely.
child. That's number one. And number two, incidents like this, and I'm just going to be honest, is the reason why we have a teacher shortage.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We have a national teacher shortage. And if you don't know by now, in order to be, because this lady was a substitute teacher, she
Yeah.
wasn't even like
Correct.
a classroom
Yes.
teacher. In order to be a substitute teacher in the state of Ohio,
Yeah.
you only need to be 18 years old, and you don't even need a
And
bachelor's
they just
degree.
changed that.
Yes.
That didn't used to be the case.
It was during COVID.
yeah,
They
during
changed it.
COVID, a
Yes.
little bit after COVID, when everybody was like, I'm cool, and then they
Yeah,
quit.
because a
Then
lot of teachers left the field
Like,
and whatnot.
we have former students that I literally
Yes.
they just graduated.
Yeah,
coming in
I
and
have
subbing.
former
18-year-olds, 19-year-olds.
Yeah, at the school, well, not the school I work at now, but before that, I have former students who were substitute
Yeah.
teachers, and I'm like, you literally just graduated like during the pandemic, like
Right.
2020, So there is a national teacher shortage, and there
Mhm.
are kids literally in the classroom teaching other kids because
Right.
you only have to be 18 years old to be a
Right.
substitute teacher, and not even just a substitute teacher. There are some people who have applied for what's called the non-bachelor's
Yeah.
license, where you can be 18 years old and be a full-time classroom teacher
In some schools.
in some schools. Yes.
Yes.
So, but there are some schools who are just so desperate. They're like, come
You can't
on.
fill 'em.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah.
you have spots filled with teachers that didn't go to, even they did go to school. Like you got people teaching English that have degrees in like PE and
Mhm.
So there's a lot going on. And I think the other part of that teacher shortage is then when these incidents happen, the lack of respect for the education professional in general.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because there is just a straight up lack of respect out there in general and a
For
whole
school in general,
for
not
school
even
in general,
educators.
for
Yeah.
educators. And there's a lot going on and things that you can't control.
Yeah.
And like you said, starting in the home and as a public school, I work in a public school. I've always worked in public schools. I mean, I know you worked in private and charter
Yeah.
schools. Public schools have to educate every single child, no matter what comes through the door.
Absolutely.
There is
Yes.
no option.
Yes.
So if your kid is a badass kid that got kicked out of every private school in this entire area, every charter school
Mm-hmm.
said kicked him out, that whatever public school they're in is educating that child.
Absolutely.
And along with all the kids that are choosing to go there, along with other kids are right there in the middle and having to adapt to all of that. And then just the lack of respect. Why would anybody want to come to work every single day and just be completely disrespectful for what they do?
Which is so crazy because during COVID, everyone was like, I love teachers, and we want you to
Right.
go back into the classrooms. I love my. Now you went right back.
And then I turned around
and
to,
did the same thing.
it's your fault that these kids are acting that way. It's your fault that the kids are blowing.
Correct.
You need to
It's the
fix
teacher's
kids.
fault. Everything.
Yeah.
It's the
Everything.
teacher's fault.
Well,
Everything's
then
fault.
later on during COVID, they were like, "Get your asses back in the classroom." I'm just
I
like,
can't believe you're so lazy and sitting home and not.
Yes,
It's because
right.
you know why? Because they had to teach their own kids. They had to deal with their own badass
No, you're
kids
right.
all fucking day long.
Right.
That's why.
No,
And it's past 9, so I can say fucking.
yes.
Okay.
So
But
Just
that's the
throw
truth.
that out there.
But it's so true though.
It is.
Definitely.
I was ready for my kids to go back, and I am in education. I was like, go to school.
I actually
Now-
enjoyed my kids being home. Like, I don't know if it had dealt with my anxiety, but knowing that they were in home and safe,
Mhm.
that was the best for me.
I would have liked it better if I wasn't full time working, locked in, because I was counseling.
right.
So I was in my bedroom, locked there for 7.5 hours a day, while my children were running wild. And like I literally had my 3rd grader educating my kindergartner on how to read.
Mhm.
That's how COVID worked in my house. So I didn't. That was too much for me.
Yeah.
I feel. And then when I had to go back to work, when everybody was bitching about teachers being out of work, I had to go back to work. I had to hire a high school kid who was 16 to come and do her own schoolwork and educate my 2 younger children, all at the same time. So it was just frustrating.
It was very
in
frustrating.
general.
But
yeah.
Shout out to all the parents who actually respect teachers, though.
Yes, we do
respect
appreciate
and-
those.
respect
There's
and
nothing
support,
better than those
yes.
supportive parents that know, understand, provide resources and money and love and care and whatever else. Letters. If you have an educator in your life that you appreciate, write them an email, send them a card,
Absolutely.
meet
Oh,
them in
yeah,
the
just-
back alley and give them some wine. I mean, like
Do
whatever it is.
something. Meet us in the parking lot, please.
Right.
Not in the bad way.
Yes. Not in a bad way.
Not a threatening way. We're not
No.
threatening anything.
If you see me at the bar, just buy me a drink and I would greatly appreciate it.
Buy me a drink. Sorry.
All right. So with that being said, Miss Amy, do we have a game?
We
to play
do. And
today?
are we switching? I think if Brad was he going to come play the game? You guys switching? Did you have to
it
go?
doesn't matter.
All right. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
just-
okay.
Just trying to help you out. Okay.
Trying to help you out. A
So
little.
this game is called Who Told It Best? And I'm gonna let you pick a card.
Okay.
Whatever the topic is, I'm gonna give everybody a minute to think about their story.
This is actually one of my favorite games.
We're each gonna tell the story. You have 2 minutes.
Okay.
I'm giving you a time. Where's my phone?
Red,
Because I
you
know
coming
you
in the
like
back?
to talk.
Okay.
You coming? Yeah, come on, right?
Yeah.
We need you to talk to. All right, hold on. I'm getting my timer out here because I'm timing you.
So we got to make up a story.
No, it's a
It's-
story. It's a
it's-
true
it's
story
a
about you. If
true
you don't have one, you
story.
can say I'm out. Like it's fine. Not everybody has a story for all the topics. But if you have a story, you tell it, and then at the end we vote for the best story.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then, but you can't vote for your own story.
Okay.
He's showing off our mud talk.
We do
merch.
have Mud Talk here, and you can get it. We'll link that
I
somewhere.
like how we all are in mud talk.
We
merch.
are.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I like it. We gotta
And
get you
also
updated.
Buckeye, so I'm with that.
Yeah, I got
We
just
That's
talked
the
about
old
that. We
logo.
just
I need an extra large mud top.
All right, extra large Mud Talk. Okay,
Oh,
well,
do I look at it?
no, I'll look at it. Okay, talk about a time that your parents weren't mad; they were just disappointed in you.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
So
easy.
it's whoever. So we'll think. Give everybody a minute. Hold on, get a minute.
Oh,
Give everybody a minute.
that's an easy one.
I'm about to say, I don't think he needs a minute.
I don't need a
He
minute.
doesn't need a minute, but we got to give everybody else a minute.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to just
We're
go
all going.
at the same time.
Oh,
Okay, so let me tell my story.
hold on.
He ready.
Everybody got a story. You got a story. I got a story. you
Oh
got a
yeah,
story.
this is.
Story.
By the time he gets
Okay.
there, I'll have
All right. Well, you got to
Oh,
listen.
I
That's
don't
the thing.
need a whole minute. This gonna take
I'm not worried about it. Go ahead.
real simple. I signed up for the military, didn't tell them.
Oh.
Oh, so would you just leave?
What happened is my recruiter came to, I went down, signed up, and my recruiter came to the house on Sunday evening to take me down to Cleveland, take me up to Detroit for the meth station for my pre-enlistment. And the recruiter knocks on the door, and my mom opened the door. She said, "Who are you?"
Mm.
He said, "I'm Sergeant Stamps, and I come to take Ralph down to Detroit he signed up for the Marine Corps." She said, "You're not taking my son anywhere." And I came out of the back room, like, "Mom, I forgot to tell you I signed up for the Marine
Forgot
Corps."
to tell you.
Forgot to tell.
Forgot to tell you, Mama. Go to Bill to Cleveland.
She was like, "Okay." So yeah, that was an easy one for me because once she came down, okay, that's what you decided to do. I support you. But yeah, she did
She
know.
did that all in one day.
Yeah, she did because I had to go
Oh.
down to Detroit. Up
Oh,
to
bless
Detroit,
your
take my
mom.
pre-physical before that. But once I came back the next day, we had a nice conversation.
She's a better human than me because
So
I
that
would have been
was-
mad,
that-
not
that- that
disappointed.
that was easy.
That was easy.
I would have been like, get your ass away from
I know.
the door.
Literally, yeah, that would not have been as a mother of sons. That would have been a mad moment, not a disappointed moment.
Yeah, that was pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay, so I got one. Do I set the timer? We'll just trust that we're going 2 minutes. So mine was, I don't know why my dad wasn't mad, but this is actually one of the greatest lessons. So when I was a freshman in high school, I had a super huge crush on this boy. He was like, hey, you should come check out this abandoned house over here with your friends and I. And
This story is going left.
no, not in a bad way. It's not in a bad way. No. This has to be a law enforcement story. So there was an abandoned house like it was like out in the country area, like those rural, it wasn't Genoa, but like rural area. And I don't know why we didn't think there was a huge neighborhood watch happening in this like little town, or at least neighbors, like, in small towns, people know everybody. So they had broken into this house previously, abandoned completely. And it was cool. Like there was cool stuff in there. There was old magazines, there was old newspapers. But you can tell we weren't the first people in there. So me, this kid I had a crush on, 3 of his friends and my friend all go in there. And I'm like, I don't love this. Like my gut saying like, we need to go. Like, this is not good. And they might have had some things on them that were not legal and that might involve lighting things with lighters. And they said, but before we go, there's an abandoned barn. We should go in there. And I was like, oh, okay. So we go up there and it was cool. It was cool. We go up there. They had to hoist me and my friend up to the loft because there was no ladder.
Mhm.
All of a sudden we're up there and I hear 3 of my friends go, oh shit, cops. They jump off the thing. Now, mind you, I couldn't get on the loft.
Right.
So I'm up there and they're like, get your fucking asses down there. And they're screaming. There's cops everywhere. And I'm like, what is happening? My friends are running. This kid couldn't get down either. And the next thing I know, after I'm like, I can't get down. And they're like, you better find out a way to get down. We come down and there's literally every cop in the entire 3 surrounding towns with guns trained right on us.
Oh, wow.
And pointed at us, and they ended up catching my friends that ran, emptied everybody's pockets. And luckily, one of their dads was a prominent Toledo detective who heard it come over the loudspeaker and said, hey, instead of taking them downtown, like, let's let them tell their parents, can you do that for me? Because it's my kid. And like, they gave us that honor. That same night, I actually had to go to a board meeting at my school, and I was getting honored for being a leader at the school. And then I had to tell my dad I got arrested right after that. And he looked at me and he was just like, I'm not mad at you. I'm just really disappointed in you. And what did you learn from this? And it was a good lesson. It was like everything life's learning experience. But yeah, getting arrested when I was a freshman in high school was definitely a not mad, I'm just real disappointed in you situation. Yeah.
What about you, Red?
The question was,
oh my gosh,
a time my parents weren't mad, but they were just disappointed in me.
Come speak into the mic, please.
Here, bend down. Here. You want me to hold it like you're singing?
Red, you don't have a story.
Not like this.
You gotta bend over. You're real tall.
It was a time where.
Hold on, I'm stuck. Right. Hold on.
Now all this clicking and clacking now.
Right.
Sorry to all of our streaming
If
listeners.
you would just bend over, we wouldn't have this issue.
Or bend down.
We're gonna clip all that out. Don't worry about
Okay,
that.
so time.
There was a time when me and my stepbrother, we had went out and we was going to see these girls, right? So
You thought my story was going bad.
we had went and rode our bikes. This is when I was living in Flint, Michigan, by the way. We had went to see some girls, late night, snuck out, bad, like young. Came back. I think I don't know. I could say he was kind of mad because he beat her ass.
That's less
But
than
he
that's
wouldn't-
more than disappointed.
But he wasn't mad though. He was like, y'all ain't had to just sneak out. Y'all could have just told me that y'all was gonna, trying to go get some PUSSY.
Everything else we say, you spell that. Come on.
Like he's
Some
so,
punani.
yeah. So he was mad that we snuck out, but he wasn't mad that we got some pussy. You feel me?
Oh, now you say it. All right. So the time Red got pussy. All right. Moving on. That's good. That's good.
Well, Miss Shay.
Okay, so I've had a couple different stories right to
You
my
get
mind.
one. You get one.
All right, so I'm just gonna say the time where, okay, you know how your parents tell you when you're younger, don't do this, don't do that. You like,
Yeah.
oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, our parents always say don't run when it's dark. So we decided to play hide and seek when it was dark outside. I'm running, and turn around, ran smack into the back of a boat motor. And
Oh,
my front tooth got knocked out. And this was the second time, so it never grew back.
Oh my
So I
God.
don't have a gap. I'm just
You just smacked your
she said,
tooth
I don't
out.
have a gap.
don't have a gap.
Wait, but you ran into a boat motor and that's all that happened was your tooth?
Yes.
Because that could have been
Where
bad.
were you? There's boat motors.
I lived in the country. Like I
Oh,
told you, I went from
okay.
that,
Yeah.
Springfield
Right.
to
Yes.
Warbridge Elementary.
Right.
No
Like,
boat motors at
No
Walbridge
boat
Elementary.
motors, definitely not.
Wait, isn't Walbridge kind of by the water though? I feel like there could be.
Well,
boats.
depend on,
Yeah.
Where in Walbridge?
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, so-
Okay. I'm just still tripping that you smacked into a boat motor.
I'm just impressed that that's all that you knocked
Yes.
out. Like boat
Wow.
motors are intense.
Yes, that's serious.
Yep. Turned right around and went boom.
Wow.
Ugh.
So mine is the time that my mom found out that I was underage drinking. So my grandmother, rest in peace to her. On New Year's Eve, we always used to I used to always go to my grandma's house on New Year's Eve because we always have like parties and stuff, whatever. So my grandmother, when I turned 16, she was like, you can have Smirnoffs, like the sparkling
Coolers.
yes,
Yes.
the coolers, yes. So she would let me have these and whatnot, whatever. Well, so it was time for me to go back to my mom's house because we had to go to school, whatever. And so I decided to take a couple wine coolers and take them back to my mom's house.
Ooh.
And so I put them inside my nightstand because my mom at that time, like, she wasn't like a big, like, let me see what you're doing, check and stuff, because I never really got in trouble. So it was kind of like a trust thing. So I don't know why this particular time she decided that she wanted to go and check. So I was at school and we were getting ready to move to another house or whatever. And she had the two coolers sitting on top of our kitchen counter. And I walk in, I'm just looking, I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, shit. And so I walk in and she like, you want to tell me about this? I was like, I'm like, I mean, what is there to say? Like, you clearly know. And so
Right.
she wasn't mad. She was just more so like, it was the hiding it shit. Like,
Yeah.
why you're trying to be sneaky. I already have full trust in you, and now you're doing this kind of shit.
Right.
So I just decided, I was like, well, since we're being honest, ma'am, I don't just drink wine coolers. I also drink Hennessy. I also
Like just being honest with
like,
you.
since we're already here, I do drink Hennessy. I do drink this or whatever. And she was just looking like, hey, what can I do? You know what I'm saying? It wasn't she can do about it. So she was just like, don't do that shit in my house again. Keep that shit over at your granny house and we'll be good. And my grandmother wasn't like, let me drink Hennessy and goose. I was like going to parties.
Right.
Yeah,
and shit,
yeah.
whatever. But I learned, to trust is just being honest is the best trust. So,
Right.
Yeah.
but yeah, that's how my mom found out I was underage drinking. And now look at me now, 34 and
Still drinking.
still drinking. Still drinking.
Still drinking. Okay, so we're gonna vote. So we have the time that Ralph signed up for the military. We have the time that I got arrested. We have the time that Red got pussy. Like, I'm sure he's got more than one. He's got 2 kids, so just not the only time. That time. We have the time that Shay busted her tooth, and we have the time that Ty was an underage drinker. So you can vote. Cannot vote for yourself. Go.
I'm going to go with because it's disappointed, right?
Disappointed, not mad.
The hiding of the Seagrams.
All right. So the underage drinking, and then
Yes.
he came full out with I also drink
Yes,
Tennessee.
the hiding of the Seagrams.
It's too late now.
I'm gonna go with the time that Shay broke her tooth because I have also, as a parent, felt that. Like I've been
Yes.
disappointed in the random injuries that my children do for no fucking reason. After I tell them, stop it, you're gonna get hurt. No, I'm not, and they do.
And they do it anyway.
Right.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with Ralph with the hiding.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because if my parents would have found out, like, you going to the military?
That day.
What?
That's
I don't
a-
even know. I don't know
that's
how
a-
they should just
yeah.
disappoint. I feel like I would have been
Yeah,
off the
I would have been
hook.
killed. Like,
Yeah.
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 What you got, Shay?
What you think?
I'm going to go with our guest as well.
Oh.
Military. Okay.
I'm gonna go with that too.
All right.
That's
So,
crazy.
hey, you
Yes,
win.
that's-
You win that
Hey.
round of who told it best. Yeah.
Hold on, let me get applause.
Oh wait, hold on. You're about to get some
And that's
applause or a
very
bomb
true.
or something going on over there.
It's funny because my mom should be 90 in May, and she tells that same, or she tells everybody the same story.
I'm sure she does because it probably traumatized her.
Yes. All right. We play another round.
You want to play one more round?
Yes. Can I pick this one?
No, you're not a
Damn.
guest.
I don't ever get to do shit on the
Oh,
show.
Can he at least read it?
Can I
No.
defer?
It's my game. You get to pick.
Can I defer?
All right, here we
You
go.
have to pick it.
The most memorable, and it says Uber ride, but it can be the most memorable Uber ride, public transportation, airplane ride, cab ride,
Oh,
most memorable ride that you've ever taken.
I don't even.
Oh, I do have one.
I got one too.
Start that way. 'Cause
Okay, we can start that way. We'll give you a minute to think.
I gotta think
We'll just go with whoever has them. Let's
Okay,
go first, Scott.
alright.
You want to go first?
You want me to go first?
You said you had one.
Oh,
I got one too.
So my public transportation story is when I went to Florida last Christmas break. So I went with a person at that time who was my friend, and we were on a Spirit flight. So that should tell you how the story's about to go. So we were on this flight on our way to Florida out of Detroit, and this lady had she had to been like 2. She had like a 2-year-old on this fucking plane, and this baby, she wasn't kicking my seat, but she was kicking my friend's seat. Like she was like kicking the fuck out of the seat. And you know how like airplane seats have like that little slot that's right
Yes.
there? That baby's foot was going all in that
In the
ass crack,
slot.
in the slot, and it was kicking. And the baby was crying. Everybody's on the plane is just so fucking frustrated. So the friend at the time was like, if this baby kicked my seat one more fucking time, I'm going to go off. Well, the baby kicked the seat. And she turned around and was like, I need a flight attendant. Can come over here. Like we're in like mid-flight. And so like the flight attendant comes over and she's like, I need you to get that motherfucking baby. And so and so the lady hears it and she's like, I'm so sorry. Like I just taught her airplane etiquette. And my friend was like, she's 2. Like she doesn't know airplane etiquette. Like she doesn't understand it. So the lady like gets up and she's like in the aisle, like walking back and forth with this baby. I'm like, so not only are you disrupting our piece, but now you disrupting the whole airplane piece. It was just a horrible ass ride on the way.
Would you have rather her kick the seat though, or walk the aisle? Because I've been like, walk the aisle, but don't kick my
I
seat.
just would have put the parachute on the baby and then no.
No,
They
you
would've
can't
had
do
this-
We aren't mean to children here
Yes, no.
ever.
that. You can't do that.
I don't know, but yeah, she was kicking the fuck out that seat. And
Yeah.
our airplane flight to Florida was like 2.5 hours. So for 2.5 hours, she was getting her ass literally kicked. And I was, I felt bad, but I was like, glad I got an aisle seat because I ain't got that problem. So yeah.
That's why you get the aisle.
Yep.
So I have one for an Uber. First of all, I was terrified to take an Uber. This is the first time I ever took an Uber. I was drunk as shit. And I will say that I love at people with all ability levels. So my driver pulls up, and my driver, I believe, probably had Down syndrome, if I had to guess, which is fine. Something similar. I mean, it was definitely a special need.
Right.
And I was great. I was like, great, you're making your living, and also I'm wasted. So I get in the car, and as soon as I get in the car, I realize that one of the criteria for Uber drivers is like they ask, like, does the car smell good? Does the car? So this Uber driver had those, those air fresheners that you put in your house, but like it was like clipped onto the thing.
Oh wow.
It was blowing strawberry right in my face. So like I was drunk, mind you, and I'm gonna throw up now. And I said, can you please get the strawberry, like turn it up? Can I take this out? Like I'm gonna throw up. And they then proceeded to tell me what happens and how much it costs if I throw up in their Uber, which I was fair. Okay. So we're driving down this very long road to get to my house. It's a very, very long road. And it's like 55 most of the way. But this Uber driver he said it was his second drive ever. It's 55 and this Uber driver was going 25. Now, mind you, it's a long road. Like we have a couple long roads that go like Hill, and we started at Hill and we had to go all the way to the Michigan line. That's where we were going.
Oh wow.
25 miles an hour. Then the Uber driver sees a sign that says deer. And the Uber driver says that they hit a deer a year ago and is terrified of deer. So every time the Uber driver got to the intersection, would drive, slammed the brakes on. So when we're going 25, slams the brakes. Strawberry blowing in my face. I'm drunk as shit. I just want to get out of the Uber. But I didn't want to make him feel bad. Like I was literally about to be like, you just let me out here. Like I'll take an Uber home the rest of the way. So for 25 miles an hour, all the way down this long road up to the Michigan line, slamming the brakes on because you're afraid of deer. And as soon as I look at him, like, you could drive. There's no deer. It's fine. I live out here. Would you not believe that we're driving down and there's a whole fucking family of deer that starts crossing the goddamn
Oh
road?
wow.
So then he slams the brakes on, starts shaking, and I have to literally talk him down, drunk as shit, like a counselor in the Uber to get all the way back to my house. It was the worst Uber drive ever. It took me to go from Hill to the Michigan line, which should have been like 15 minutes, 45 minutes to get home.
Wow.
It was bad. It was horrible. I almost never went again.
So I guess if you have a fear of deers, you shouldn't be an Uber driver.
Or just a
Moral
lot
of
of
the
things
story.
going on. There's a lot of things going on. A lot. You got anything, or you pass? Go. Pass. Okay, you got
Shay,
anything?
you got one?
I'm gonna say the worst Uber drive I've ever had was this one time. Me and my friend were so geeked. We're going to Vegas. We Ubered to the airport because her friend was picking us up on the way back. We get in this guy car. It must have been his grandmother's car.
Mhm.
It smelled like mothballs,
Oh,
ass
Oh.
crack,
The old
Not ass
mothball.
crack.
corn chips,
wait, mothballs, ass crack, and corn chips?
That's a lot.
and booty juice. Like,
Booty juice. That's a
I don't
lot.
know what this man had going
That's a
on.
great combination.
But on top of it all, when he rolled down his window, we could smell he was so musty.
Oh.
Aw.
Like we were
He needed that
just,
strawberry
we were
blowing.
Yes.
embarrassed to even go in the airport. We felt like we
You
smelled
probably
like
did.
him.
You probably smelled like corn
Yes,
chips,
and
booty
we
juice.
were
and
like
mothballs.
before we even
Mothballs
walked
and
in,
ass
like
crack.
we were spraying. It was so bad. So we were just
There needs to
Yeah.
be a happy medium for happy strawberry and nasty ass butt crack.
That's a lot.
Just saying.
It
I'll
was
pass.
the
I don't.
worst.
I'll pass.
You
I've
don't
never
have
had a
any?
Drew. I've never had an Uber.
Airplane,
I-
train, bus.
No. All my
Horse and
plane
buggy.
rides
Just
have been butt juice. No. All my plane. Honestly, you talking turbulence, but I've never had any crazy.
So you
Crazy.
clearly didn't fly Spirit. You are
No, Allegiant
Delta.
or Spirit.
Yeah.
I flew in Spirit.
How about
And
Allegiant?
What?
actually, I did fly Spirit, and
Wait,
I didn't
you
have
what?
no problem with Spirit.
Well,
or
because
Allegiant.
Spirit's a step up.
Wait a
Spirit's a
minute.
step up from Allegiant. He said Flume. I saw it.
Yes.
To Florida, and we had no problem.
We're over here talking about airlines
I'm distracted because
because he
what did
said
you say?
Flume.
Flume. Just so you got flown out.
That's
You
making
were
up.
flew.
Well,
You
he's
got
making up-
I- I
flown
don't have-
out.
That
It's
must
not
be
even-
that
it's like-
city boy language.
Yes.
That's not even city boy language. That's
Okay.
like city boy language
Yeah.
times.
City Boys
Five.
up 5 points.
All
Yeah,
right.
so y'all don't have any. I don't.
Okay. Well, you still get to vote. So we got the horrible baby plane, and we got
Smelly,
smelly, slow,
mothballs,
smelly,
And-
good,
and
and,
then
too much, and
Butt
then
juice.
and deer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I'm gonna go with
Shay.
baby because I've had that experience on the airplane
Yeah.
because I can't.
I'm gonna go with Shay.
All right, Shay, baby, mothballs,
Yeah, I'm going with the mothballs, butt juice,
Yes.
booty juice, ass
Fritos,
crack,
booty juice.
corn chips.
Corn
Yeah.
chips. Oh my god! I swear to
Yeah.
God.
That it has
Right?
to be
It was
horrible 'cause when you
musty.
get where you wanted to go, and you're paranoid. You smell
Yes,
it.
you do. Like you feel like you
It's the
smell like
scent
other
doesn't
people.
leave. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And mothballs.
It's
stay with you.
embedded in your nose. You just like.
Did he talk? Like I can just imagine all of this. What did he talk?
No, he listened to Chopped and Screwed the whole way. Detroit Metro.
He must have been from Detroit.
I don't know.
We still love you if you're from
We
Detroit.
still love you from Detroit,
But
though. We're not saying because he smelled like butt
if
juice.
your
You gotta be
car
from Detroit,
smells like
because it's
butt
chopped and
juice,
screwed.
ass crack, corn chips, and
Yes.
mothballs,
Yeah,
don't drive Uber.
That's a heavy combination.
Or if you're gonna
Yes.
put an air freshener that's straight up strawberry
Now I'm
and
kind of
drunk people's
wondering, did he
face.
have a dead body in the trunk?
Oh, wow.
Honestly,
At this point,
I don't know.
now that you say that.
It's too late now.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, you won. You won your first round.
There you go.
You totally
Hey.
bad. Well, here's our applause, Fred. We need a little button over here.
Yes.
All right.
Wow. Yes.
Okay, you call it you.
Go ahead
Don't-
and
don't
while
say
Red
out
gets
loud.
flown, while he goes over there and gets flown out. Thank you, Red. We appreciate you. All right.
All right.
Was that it for our
I mean,
total
yes,
votes?
yes. We're good. We are all good.
All right. All right. So this is a very important section of the show. Well, this is always important, but we're going to do some teacher shout outs. Do you guys have any teachers you want to shout out? Yes, I know. Any teachers you would like to shout out?
I don't want to shout out any teachers in particular. I just want to shout out anybody that is in the profession of education, whether you're a teacher, coach, counselor, administrator, especially those administrators, man. Like, I know we give them a lot of crap, but they put up with a lot. That is
Yes.
one job people are like, are you ever thinking of doing administration? There is no way in hell that you would ever catch me being an administrator just because of, I don't think I would have, I can deal with all the mental health crises in the world, but the
Mhm.
administrator stuff is just a lot. And they take a lot. And they take a lot off their teachers. They take a lot off the students. They take a lot off the community. Administrators, assistant administrators, counselors, deans, officers, daycare workers, coaches, mentors, anybody that's out there in education, like, thank you for what you do. And it's
Absolutely.
really not a terrible profession.
Yes.
You do get to impact the lives of people in such a great way.
Yes. I want to, like you said, just shout out any teacher who's in the profession. It's a tough time right now.
Yes.
It's tough, but our kids need us, our babies need us. And so anybody, I don't care if you are a paraprofessional, if you are a school counselor, classroom teacher, teacher assistant, janitor, lunch monitor,
Right.
lunch
Recess monitor.
whatever. it
Bus
is that you
driver.
do.
God, I
Bus
don't know how
driver.
the hell bus
Hell
drivers
no.
do it.
Right.
I
I
can't
don't
even
know.
drive my car when I have all my kids' friends in there. I'm like, all right, shut up. We're going over a bridge.
Listen,
Can you imagine?
Right.
Child care workers, coaches, amazing coach right here, dodgeball coach.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Coach of the year.
coach of the year.
Assistant coach of the
okay.
year.
Assistant
Yes,
coach
thank
of the year. Congrats.
thank
Yes,
you.
congratulations. So yeah, man, anybody who's working with kids, we definitely appreciate you because it takes a village, and our kids need a village really, really, really bad. And also shout out to parents who support, teachers
Yes.
and educators and childcare workers and all of that stuff. And also shout out to the parents who are patient with
Yeah.
us.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't think parents understand there's a lot that goes on in schools.
Yeah.
And so when you're a teacher and you can have anywhere from 15 kids in the class to 32 kids in the classroom,
Up to 150 a day. Like when I
Yeah.
taught high school, I had 150 kids a day.
so when I went to the job that I'm at now and I interviewed with them, they was like, so how many kids do you have in your class? And I was like 32. It was
Yeah.
like, how? And I was just like,
Yeah.
story of my life. You know what I'm saying? But people don't understand that you are not only dealing with 32 kids, but 32 different personalities, 32 different behaviors,
Yes.
32 different traumas, 32 different-
Upbringings, backgrounds,
Yeah.
religions, races,
Yes.
ethnicities, ability levels. Like it's everything.
It's all of that. And me as a teacher, I'm responsible for all of that. And not only just that, but as a teacher, I am evaluated on how to handle all this. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
all at once.
all at once, how do you handle behaviors in your room? You're evaluated on that. You're evaluated on your test scores. And if you're doing your job, like it's
And
so
do
much to
you
it.
present your lesson in a way that every single person, every single ability level can handle it, along with 25 disruptions from those stupid mental health people calling and asking for the kids, and
Absolutely.
just everything going on at once. It's
Yes.
a lot.
Yeah. So shout out to anybody and everybody who's in the field. We greatly appreciate it.
And I like that you said the parents, because the parents that also understand that educators are humans.
Yes.
Some of my favorite conversations are when I'm just like, I was talking to a couple of parents and I'm just like, I'm like, you got teenage daughters. My daughter's about to be one. Please help me. And they're like, wait, you need my help? We're humans too.
Yes.
We have lives outside of there. And I have kids. And guess what? My kids can be assholes sometimes. And
Yes.
sometimes I can learn from you and we can learn from me. And we have that ability. Like we're all human.
Absolutely.
And I think that those parents that are supportive and get that, we appreciate. You are part of that educator village.
Right.
And if you're an
else?
asshole parent, stop it.
Yeah. Hello. Please stop. Stop
Stop.
being an asshole. If you're an asshole, period, just stop.
Right.
I need to say that on the next Fuck Your Feelings
Isn't
Friday.
this supposed to be one? And we'll get to that a different time.
Well, actually, we can do that considering,
Well, I think we should just like
We'll
hold off.
wait.
Yeah, we'll
Damn.
wait. I
that
know.
was my
I
favorite
just want to
Friday.
tip my hat to all you educators. Really, you guys are most unappreciated professions
Mhm.
in our society, and like I said, I see what you guys deal with every day,
Yeah.
and it's challenging. But
Yes.
you guys still come to work every day, still do your jobs every day, still make sure our kids get the education that they need. And I just appreciate all teachers and educators, okay, counselors.
Mhm.
Inside the school, I think there's so many small pieces that people always tend to ignore, but not realize that they can't function without them. Like you mentioned earlier, from the custodial
Yeah.
to the food service to secretaries. I always say if you take those three people out of a school, the school can't function.
No,
Facts.
no.
So we need to, they're part of education. People don't realize that. They may not be the teacher, but they're the one to make sure that doors are open every day. Our babies get fed, especially those who don't have the ability to eat.
Mhm.
They still make sure they get fed every day. Custodians making sure that the business clean. So I just tip my hat because I know it's challenging.
Yeah.
It's challenging, especially in today's time. and
Yes.
society. So I tip my hat to all you guys that's in that educational field. So
Yes.
keep up the good work and Godspeed. Just
Thank you.
keep it up.
I always tell parents, I'm like, it's two people that you need to be friends with in this: the bartender and your child's teacher.
Educators, all
Yes,
of them.
all of
Everybody
them.
at that school.
Yes, you need to be best friends with all of them. Because two things: number one, as a bartender, I know anything and everything that goes in the bar.
Right.
That's true.
I
And you're
know.
not bound by confidentiality.
Not at all. Okay, so there's
Right.
that. But
Right.
also too, when it comes to teaching, like we know more about your child than what you think. We know
Oh.
everything that goes on. We know the relationship, your child's ain't supposed to be dating, but they got a whole ass boyfriend or girlfriend in school.
Absolutely.
Your child is vaping in the bathroom. You didn't even know they vape.
And we know that you were in the bathroom for 45 minutes this morning, and that's why they couldn't take their shower because you had to do some business. That's the kind of stuff that we know about your house. We know about your kids. We know about everything.
We know about it all. So
and we still love you and care about your kids too.
Yes.
And I think too, those people that you just mentioned, those are some of the first people to step up and say, I'm worried about this child. This child doesn't have food. This child needs this. Because sometimes those are the adults that those kids feel the most comfortable with.
Yes.
And I think those are often people we forget. But I mean, I know our kids love our custodians, our lunch monitors, our bus drivers.
Absolutely.
All of them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Do you have anybody, Shay?
I was just gonna say definitely all the educators who do it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That's just about it. Yep.
Well, I would hope they are doing it for the right reason, because let me tell you, that pay.
I mean, even our Boys and Girls Clubs and those workers
Correct.
and things like
Yeah,
that, and
after-school
our
programs.
after-school programs. A big shout out to Impact and
Thank
you know Ty over here. Yeah, it's like all of those programs.
Yes, absolutely.
And I feel like we should also say too, like I know you're in you kind of have law enforcement's really very underappreciated.
Hello.
And a profession right now, and just know that I think you're a prime example of law enforcement officers are actually humans and great people out there and keeping us safe. And that's what I appreciate, that you're there keeping everybody safe every day as well.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to say thank you to Officer Ralph Green for stopping through here on Educators Day. We truly, truly, truly appreciate you and kicking us some knowledge and dropping some gems and also playing our game, Who Told the Best. So we really appreciate you for that. On the next show, we are going to be celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Yes.
I think I might cook for you guys.
Ooh, what you about to make?
I'm gonna make my well, is that what you want?
I don't know.
I was gonna make my famous homemade salsa because I make salsa that's homemade that I've been told I should like jar, but I don't.
Yes,
but I'll make that. I might make some, I don't know, street tacos, or I'll bring you some too. Don't worry.
Yes.
Or are you gonna eat it though? Because we had a whole conversation about my food.
Well, unfortunately, I won't be. I'm having surgery May the 3rd.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. So yes, we'll keep you in our thoughts and prayers for that.
Definitely.
Yes.
Taneda bartender is going to be back. She's going to be making margaritas.
Can she make me a non-tequila version?
Can you make a margarita with vodka?
We're gonna try.
Oh,
it's probably something else.
Maybe.
Tell her I'm specifically requesting a Cinco de Mayo drink with no tequila.
I'll ask her.
Or just bring me a Corona Light. I'm fine with that too.
Yes, we'll ask her. Yeah, so she's gonna be making different kinds of margaritas, and we're gonna try those out. Except for Amy. So
I'll take a sip, baby. I don't know though.
No, we cannot. Yeah, no, we could. We'll pass on that one.
You know what though? There is a local taco establishment that we will not announce because they don't sponsor us.
Yes.
That does offer a blood orange margarita. And I did take a sip of it from my friend, and I drank the whole thing.
Really?
With tequila and all. Yeah. So it just didn't taste or smell like tequila.
Oh, okay. So we'll have to ask her to make sure it doesn't smell
Find
like tequila.
something that doesn't taste or smell like tequila, and I'll try it.
So maybe you need like a frozen margarita?
No, those. Oh, God.
Oh.
I'm like getting watery now. Like, that's not.
Well, there's that. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody for stopping by and for listening. Remember, you can also listen to Mud Talk not only on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, but you can also listen to us now on Pandora Radio and Sirius XM satellite radio. We got a lot of streaming platforms. I'll be trying to keep up, but we appreciate everybody who listens. Shout out to people who are listening from Detroit, Toledo, Cleveland,
Germany, Berlin, Australia,
Berlin, like London, like it's crazy.
North Carolina, New York.
We love y'all.
We love y'all. We appreciate y'all for listening to Mud Talk. Thank you for everybody who listens on Pandora, who listens on satellite radio, Apple Podcasts.
I was on my way to
Spotify.
Louisville. I looked us up, and I was so excited because I found us on Pandora.
Yes.
And I listened like down to Louisville, like on my way for my daughter's tournament. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Can I just find us on Pandora?" It was like the
Yes.
most exciting moment ever.
I got excited when I got the notification. I looked this up like multiple times. Like, is this for real?
Yeah.
And I was like, wait. And then I like closed out Pandora and I went back. I was like, is this for real? So yeah, we are super excited to officially be on Pandora Radio and Sirius XM Radio. Yeah, man. So shout out to everybody who listens and watches us on YouTube and all of that stuff, man. We making major moves here on Mud Talk. And also, like we said, This podcast ain't just local, it's global. So if you are a business, we have sponsorship packages available. We have merch available. We have a lot of shit going on here on Mud Talk, and people better get ready because season 3 is coming up, and I'm talking big Mud Talk shit. Okay, like
Big Mud Talk.
I'm gonna be talking my Mud Talk shit
Well,
all
talk your
the
shit then.
time.
He acts like he doesn't already talk as much.
I do.
Real money.
I mean, I do, but it's about to be some big
Yeah.
shit. Like, yeah. So make sure y'all tap into that. Get the merch, y'all. Y'all can go to the merch store on our official Facebook page. Get you a hoodie, get you a crop top, get you a
We
tank
got
top,
t-shirts, we got
t-shirts.
hoodies,
We got
we got
mugs,
We
tote
got all that,
bags.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have all that shit. And also, again, we have sponsorship packages for businesses. Like Amy said, if you don't support Mud Talk, you don't have a sponsorship, we don't shout your shit out here on the show.
And here's the thing: there's like for $15, you can get shouted out.
Yes.
Oh, like
Yes.
$15. Like
Yeah.
if you have a business or
Yeah.
global, like,
Yes.
why would you not?
Why would you not?
I mean,
Me-
I'm not a business owner,
Yeah.
but I feel like that would make the most sense.
Me and Lexi actually was on live earlier this afternoon or this morning because we have a raffle that we're about to do. I'm gonna tell you in a minute.
yeah.
Yes.
Like,
So we were talking today, and she's like, Mud Talk has sponsorship packages. She's like, that's in the show forever. Like, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And I literally responded back. I said, please stop using Facebook as your only means of promotion.
yeah.
Like, people just think that you
Yeah.
can just get on
Right.
Facebook and just market your shit all day long. That's not how that works.
No.
And people do not understand that radio and podcasting is the wave right
Yes.
now. Like, it's serious out here. So if you have a business, I need you to get in contact with Mud Talk. We'll send you the sponsorship package through the email, and we
Yeah.
will connect with you because this shit is serious. And so I really, really want all my business owners and people, no matter what you do, if you have a business or whatnot, please make sure that you get in contact with Mud Talk, even if it's music. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, come to Mud Talk and all that shit.
Contact me if you want music. I'm an audio engineer. I'm a producer. If you need a studio session, contact me for those purposes.
Yes.
Find Red.
Fine,
Just find
Red.
him.
Yes.
No, but listen, here's the thing. You said promoting on Facebook's not the only way. Every single package we offers Facebook promotion from Mud
Yes.
Talk. You can reshare it. So every one of the
Absolutely.
packages, $15 all the way down to our like whole season. We have a whole season
Whole
sponsor.
season.
You
Yeah.
can pay for the whole season. You'll get shouted out every show. You'll get shouted out every week on Facebook. We all share those
We
shout
have
outs on our
merch. We can
personal.
put your
We
We can
logos
put
on
your
our
logo on
shit.
your merch. I want you to, if you have a product, please do that package. I want
Yes.
to try your products. We want to support your business. We love
Absolutely.
supporting Black-owned businesses here. Let us try your shit. Let White Girl come out to your business.
Yes, white
That's
girl.
one of them. I will come to your business.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
what? Why are
She's
you
serious.
laughing? And we're not even going to shout out your studio right now because I am going to come to your studio and we're going to visit White Girls and visit the studio.
Yes.
I've been practicing my rap skills and
Oh,
drunken
okay.
karaoke.
Oh wow.
So we're good.
Well.
Just need to get a little drunk and rap
Yes.
some things.
So
But like
yeah.
White Girl come out. Well, and that's a whole like we shouted
It's a
out
whole
the last
segment.
one. It's a segment. We shouted out that Groom Barbershop.
Yes.
This is now the 4th time. Like there you get lots and lots of promotion.
Yes, and not only that, but
See that?
we also like you said, shout out Groom Barbershop, but that video is on our YouTube page.
It's in our YouTube. It's going to be there
It's in our
forever.
show.
We
It's
started
there
it
forever.
at the sign of the barbershop. Like,
Yes.
And you know what? That's the one thing that when we talked about why we do Ask the White Girl, we're trying to break down the barriers. Like I'm visiting places that white people don't usually visit or know.
Mhm.
And that way I can go there and I can go out and I can talk to my friends and we can try to like make sure that we're getting you business and bringing you to places that you may not always
Yes.
often get.
And what's so crazy is that after we did that and we shared the clip, like it got reshared so much on Facebook and Reels, like Groom was like, wow, like we really appreciate y'all for doing that.
And
because
FYI,
it
I
drove the
sent
business.
4 people to Groomed after that.
Wow.
4 people that
See?
were like, do you know a barber? Yep, I got you.
Yeah.
Because I was there. I saw it. I saw the way they did business. I liked it. And I said, go there. They got you.
Yes. So I need y'all to quit being cheap, spend some money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not just saying that because we want to make a profit. That's not what we're here for. Well, kind of. But we but we really want you to promote your fucking business so you can get some profit too.
But also a lot of we do have a chunk of our money. Anything we get from merch, we donate back to
Yes.
mental health in the Black community. That's our
Yes.
cause. And so we have made a little bit of money on some of our merch and we are donating that. We're going to come up with
Yes.
causes that we can help support because it's very important that we help
Absolutely.
that as well.
So there's that. All right, y'all. Well, we'll see y'all in a couple weeks. But just to let you know, I'm Big T.
I'm Shay Renee.
Hi, Miss Amy.
Boy, Red.
And remember, Mud Talk is the only podcast that brings you latest in music, news, and fashion, and the only show that keeps our ears to the streets.
While you grind in the 419.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all in a couple weeks. Deuces.
Juices.
You're tuned in with Hot Talk with Vic T, Shay, and Miss Amy.